It's just
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Sorry, we're starting a little bit late. We ran late from our finance committee meeting, but appreciate all of you that are here in attendance tonight and giving up your time to participate in our meeting. We're here for a regularly scheduled Taos Municipal Schools Board of Education meeting. Today is September 25th, 2024. It is approximately 6:35 p.m. I would like to call this meeting to order. Can I please get a roll call?
President Flores,
Here.
Vice President Sprague,
here.
Secretary Trujillo,
Here.
Board Member King,
Here.
Board Member Concha.
Here.
Okay, item B is the roll call. Item C, pledge of allegiance. Superintendent Lane, can you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item D is our land acknowledgement statement, and our superintendent will lead us in the land acknowledgement statement tonight.
It is respectful to recognize the unique and enduring relationship that exists between indigenous people and their traditional territories. We acknowledge that we are on the historic homeland of the Red Willow people within the original territory of Taos Pueblo. This acknowledgement will oblige as a reminder of our ongoing efforts to respectfully recognize, honor, reconcile, and partner with the Red Willow people whose land and water we benefit from in this great valley today.
Thank you, Superintendent. And item E is approval of the meeting agenda. Are there any proposed amendments to the meeting agenda? Any proposed amendments?
No, sir.
All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and make a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented.
A second.
We have a second from Board Member Concha. Call for the roll, please.
Board Member Concha,
Yes.
Board Member King,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Vice President Sprague,
Yes.
President Flores.
Yes. Item F is public comment. Do we have any interested individuals wishing to speak during public comment?
Hi there again.
If you could please state your name.
I'm Rachel Pullman and I am president of the PTSO for the Taos High School. I apologize that 2 weeks ago when I did not realize that it hadn't been reported yet to the school board, everything the PTSO did this summer. So I'm going to take a step backwards and tell you what we did this summer. As you know, PTSO was created for the high school was created late spring, early summer. And I just want to quickly go through what we've accomplished. One was organizationally, we've done have the articles of incorporation, the bylaws, vision, mission, all of that was done. We're totally incorporated and 501c3 status has been sent in and should be back in the next couple of weeks. We're now, we've also created an executive committee and we're filling the boards, the rest of the board spots now very thoughtfully to diversity to reflect our community. There are numerous committees that have been set up that are doing work, all in collaboration with the school. And so I'm going to go through those real quickly. There was a data survey committee created. They, in collaboration with school administration, they created a small survey asking what parents, students, and teachers want PTSO to focus on this year. And so far, around 400 plus people have responded to that survey on what they want to see PTSO do. There was a mental health committee created. And before school started, they've met with the school administration. They helped with putting together the student mental wellness room and that space, and they have been meeting with school administration together with a national program called the Hope Squad. That is, I can't explain it very well, but it's a peer-to-peer program that has been very successful in other places. That not that the peers aren't doing counseling with the peers, but they can identify help and then get those peers to someone in the school to help when there's a peer having a mental health crisis. They've been meeting with Principal Herrera and Vice Principal Quintana, working together to explore about the possibility of bringing this program into Taos High School or another program, whatever programs they decide to support mental wellness at the school. There was a teacher employee appreciation committee created. And I don't know how, but in like no time, 2 weeks notice, they put together a luncheon for all employees of the school, all teachers and employees during those 3 days in August that the teachers and employees were at the school before the students were there, and gave a luncheon for the school, complete with flowers on the tables. And the school cafeteria. The lunch was provided by Ricky's and supported by, and I don't have this name right, but it's the Villarreal Family Lane Grant. We now have a Flex Friday committee going that is going to start providing assistance to school administration for those Flex Fridays and the best use of those Fridays. And they're meeting Monday, I think, with the principal. To sort of get to what we can do to help support that Flex Friday time. And one of the things I've heard is that kids really wanted auto mechanics and cosmetology, and I think an auto mechanics person has been attending. So that's going to be really great. There was a housing committee created, which was to help provide contact, like a one-point contact person at PTSO to help any new employees or potential new employees that were coming into Taos to find housing. Not that we're building housing or paying for housing at all, but what I call the welcome wagon, and putting into place what I refer to as the Taos Grade Fund. We did that for one potential teacher that was coming in and needed housing for 2 weeks before some other housing he had became available, and put out that grapevine going, and we had 4 options for him within 24 hours. Unfortunately, didn't come. And there was a second teacher that contacted us, and unfortunately the position she wanted had already been filled. There is a strategic planning meeting set up for Sunday afternoon, October 13th, for the whole PTSO to work on sort of strategic, what we'd like to see for 3 years, what we can do this year and what each of those committees can do in a year, and what we look at to start planning for a 3-year setback. We tabled during all 3 days of orientation and registration and back to school night and got pages and pages of students, parents, teachers who want to be involved with the PTSO. Finally, just to say, school board members are always welcome at the meetings, as well as all teachers, students, parents. Everyone is always welcome at our meetings. And just finally, that we are here as the PTSO to stand in support and to work collaboratively with the principal, the superintendent, school board, school administration on what we can do as a community and a think tank. Are they telling me I need to be pulled up? To find and work on creating enhancements to the school. And whatever we can do, it's going to take a community, and we're here in support. We can't just leave this on the school board, on the school administration. And this committee has kind of blown me away, frankly, and our organization has blown me away, and we're really ready to do whatever we can to help. So whatever the school board needs, whatever the school administration needs, we're here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Hall.
You will please state your name, sir.
Stephen Tall. There is an article in Last that reads House News concerning cell phone use. These students were interviewed, and I'm going to read some of the comments. Quote, kids have kept them in, they're talking about cell phones, kids have kept them in their backpack. Some people have them under a table and use them in their backpacks. End quote. I believe the article indicated that teachers are also authorized to confiscate phones if they're being used. If that's the case, I wonder how many phones, if phones have been confiscated, how many? I think that if you're going to use that as a measure, then I think that we should look at that as a community. That, you know, are the phones being confiscated? Are the rules being observed? The students also said, quote, there is a potential to reduce bullying and cheating, end quote. I find this the most troubling part. One of the students said, quote, the phones are kind of used as a way to film fights. I think that was a big reason why there was a ban, end quote. Now, I don't know if that's the case or not, but I just think that's so troubling that there's a mindset that the first thing somebody does when they see a fight is to whip out the phone and start taking pictures. I can imagine these videos circulating in the among the student body. I find that sad. I think it's a sad commentary that's the response as opposed to, hey guys, wait a minute, stop. What are you fighting about? Why are you bullying this person? These people need to be confronted, and students need to be encouraged to do that, to confront one another. It needs to happen. One of the students talked about using the contact family members. And they were concerned about privacy. I don't know what the arrangement is in terms of use of the phone, but I think that conversation should be private. But at the same time, student referred to being sick, not sick, maybe not feeling well, and getting in touch with parents. I like to think that there's a full-time nurse at both middle and high school, and the first thing the student does when they're ill is say, I don't feel well, and I go to see, somebody. Yeah, if that's not the case, I hope that somebody will find out to me, we don't have, medical help at school. In all my entire time, school, fortunately, I was never sick. I never had to go to the nurse, whoever that person would be. But this idea that one of the students said, quote, communication remains overly restricted, end quote. It seems to me that when you're in school, you should be thinking about what you're doing in school. And yes, there may be moments like maybe talk to your family. I think the focus should be on school, and your student shouldn't think that at any time I want to, that I can whip out my phone and talk to somebody. It's about mindsets, I guess. But again, in terms of bullying and fighting, that needs to stop as far as I'm concerned. And somebody found filming it should be reprimanded. Say that the teachers as well.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Anyone else wishing to speak during public comment? Anybody online? Thank you both individuals for your comments tonight. Next item on the agenda is item G, student outcomes, GA. Cyber Magnet, Principal Carla Martinez.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Layton. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with you updates about Pulse Cyber Magnet High School. So just to share with everybody, our lead teacher is Miss Maria Chavez. She basically wears all hats in the school other than principal. She is our registrar, counselor, everything. And we have two part-time tutors, Norma Aldridge and Isabel Edion, who work with our students 2 days out of the week, specifically for math interventions and supports as students are working through their curriculum. And then our additional support staff we lean heavily on our district leadership because we are such a small school site. We don't have a dedicated individual to do all of the other stuff that you normally see at a school. So our Native American liaison is Ms. Ray Lujan. We lean into Director Lynn Brasher to help with our special education. So everybody kind of fills in. Ms. Victoria Santis-Galvan is our community schools coordinator. Even though we don't have one officially, she pitches in. So we really lean heavily into our district to provide those supports. Our enrollment has increased. We just recently picked up another student. So we were at 11, now we're at 12. I will say that I didn't adjust our enrollment numbers by grade level, but I did adjust all the other pieces. Again, we serve the majority of students who have an IEP 504, have mental or medical health concerns. So this is a very intensive, high need group of students who need services and supports. And our job in our effort is to provide those supports to them as best as possible. These are just some of the demographics for our school site. Next slide. Because our students have such great need and our intent is to provide what I'd like to call a sheltered learning environment. It's a small learning environment. It fits for students who did not complete in a larger school setting. We really focus on social emotional tools. So every morning there's group work, the students sit, they talk about some strategies and ideas to be able to work collaboratively with each other, but then also to address issues that they may be having outside of the school setting. We have our math tutors, we have our social work, our nurses come from the middle school and ENOS, so they provide those supports for the medical concerns that we have with our students. And then we're also looking at afternoon intervention. Our lead teacher, Ms. Madi Chavez, is pulling our students in and working with them in small groups to address needs in math and ELA based on our iReady scores. And then we're also looking at SAT prep to make sure that our seniors reach the cut scores so that they can graduate. And we include some restorative justice into that one group work. Yeah. Thank you. Academics, this is just an update because our curriculum is partially online and then also partially direct instruction from our lead teacher. We're able to track our students' pacing for completion in the semester, as well as their current grades. So we pay attention every single week to the students. Actually, it's a daily thing, but we do a report every week to see whether or not the students are on pace to complete the coursework within the semester. And then we also look to see whether or not they are passing their courses with a 70% or better. And what we found is that our cohort of students who are returning from last year are on track, they're on pace, they know the routine, they know how to learn online. But it's our students who are new to the program who are struggling a little bit. We've also had a couple of students who've been out for medical reasons. And so they're a little bit behind, but we have intervention plans in place for them. So our school designation through New Mexico's Vistas is the CSI schools. So we 3 years ago had a cohort of students who did not graduate within the 4-year period. So our 90-day plan is that 100% of our students will graduate on time with their 4-year cohort. We have 2 current seniors. They are on track to graduate. Nadia. We also are looking at our short cycle assessments in math and English language arts, and our goal is to increase by 10% at the end of year assessment. So we're looking at what our current beginning of year scores are and trying to make sure that we help our students improve in our short cycle assessment scores as well. Our science scores, which we don't track through iReady, we're looking at the New Masters assessment, which is the end of year science assessment, but we're also tracking our science pass rate for our students every single week to make sure that they're passing their science classes. So also preparing them for the summative assessment in April. And then MLSS, which is very important to make sure all of our students are successful. We actually use Panorama with all of our students, and they have documented intervention plans. And we enter weekly updates. So any of our support staff can look in Panorama and identify this is where our students are for academics, attendance, behavior, and then go ahead and track where their interventions have been provided and whether or not they were responding to those interventions. We do this with attendance as well. Again, attendance is one of those pieces that you're not there, you're gonna fall behind. We do tutoring after school for our students who need to make up time because they were absent, and use that as a way to get them back on track, and then also address any needs that they might have because they're not passing their coursework. And then behavior, we don't typically have behavior issues, but if we do, we again use Panorama to track that. And then we have conversations with our social workers or anybody else who needs to be involved to make sure we're addressing those at an individual level. Physics in a Box is our science curriculum. These are our students actually using the curriculum and the program. They love it. They were learning how to use calipers today, and they couldn't read the calipers. And so there was a conversation about our teacher, Mani Chavez, who is, as she, in her own words, old as dirt and could read the caliper, but the kids could not. So they have a great time with this program. They absolutely love it. It's hands-on. They're in on the computer part of the time, but then this gives them that hands-on opportunity. Our iReady scores, we know where they are. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of our students come to us with significant learning needs. And so this is our data. ELA is on the top, math is on the bottom. We know we have a lot of work to do, but there are those individualized education plans and interventions to make sure that our students are successful. I already mentioned Physics in a Box. I will also mention that there's a huge emphasis on the students being out in the community. They visit the library. The Harwood will be another trip that they make. And they will also be doing some college visits to make sure that we make that post-secondary connection for our students and they know what their options are once they graduate from high school. And then Taos Land Trust is one of the activities that they just wrapped up. They're wrapping up now in September. They'll be doing Paseo Day in October. And then again, those college visits that I mentioned, some around the state of New Mexico, just to give them some options. And these are our students. This is the Taos Land Trust, and this is them out in the fields, enjoying, interacting with the adults that they connect with. For the spring semester, we're looking at dual credit opportunities and to continue these outdoors activities for the students. Okay, that's all. Do you have any questions for me?
Does the board have any questions or comments?
I have some comments. I think having a school, that tailors to the needs of specific students is super important. I would just encourage when referring to the school, that we look to maybe change the use of language and when we refer to these students, such as maybe instead of intensive high need students, maybe opportunity youth, things of that nature to just encourage and foster more encouragement, avoid stigmas, things like that. Also, being respectful of their educational choices as students, and maybe rather than they didn't succeed in high school, maybe they needed an alternative pathway and things like that. And I know, it's not intentional, but I think, when they're out in the community and they're wanting to do things like this, sometimes there can be a stigma associated with.
And that's one of our huge shifts that we're trying to make as a school, if there is that stigma in the community, even within our school community, of who attends our school and why they are attending our school. And that's something that we're trying to shift. The reality is we do have students who have those needs, and we're trying to make sure that we're tailoring their education to provide that. But we were fully aware of the perception and the stigma that comes with attending Tel Cyber Magnet.
Susan Flores, I have a question. Thank you. Hi, how are you? Thank you for, I always love your presentations. Do any of your kids do they participate at all in an intern program of any kind?
So
Would they be
internships
interested?
are dependent on age and then transportation. We do have some kids who are looking at internships for the spring semester. That conversation begins now, and then they plan and look at what the opportunities are. The academic load is pretty significant. And so we really try to make sure that we can time that without impacting their academics and that we're not putting them further behind. So those are conversations that are happening now. But yes, our students have done internships and they are planning for internships.
Nice, thank you.
Of course.
That was kind of my question in regards to Bowman spray. You know, and this is just, I'm thinking out loud here. Maybe summer programs, you know, where they don't have that, schoolwork over their heads, but you know, they, in regards to CTE, you know, this agriculture, community, farming, you know.
So we've had students who worked in summer programming in line with what their potential careers will be. And so there's a lot of work to try and connect them with that. We actually have a young lady who was working with children over the summer and has decided that that's one of the things that she wants to pursue in college, is that idea of being a social worker, working with kids, helping provide that support, because she sees how impactful she's been working with the students. And then she also sees it from the other side of having those connections with adults who have been positive in her progress. So both of those are things that the students have been, we're trying to connect them with more intentional.
That's great. And there's a college at Roswell. Have you heard about that, Ms. Martinez?
Which,
My buddy has a daughter who's special needs and she's attending that. Maybe you can research it. I'll do some, I'll talk to him. He lives in Albuquerque now. They used to live in Towson. She's seems to be enjoying it and maybe finish it up.
I appreciate the information.
Yeah.
Thank you, board. Ms. Martinez, thank you for your presentation. Thank you for all your hard work. In regards to internships, if any of the students would like to entertain an internship with the town of Taos in any capacity, being that it's just right next door, please reach out to me and I'll make sure that happens.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll try that with
We can figure something out. There's a few different departments. There's the library, there's Parks and Recreation.
We actually have a student who's interested in the library of getting employment, but she's not old enough yet. And so we're waiting for her to turn 17, I think is the cutoff age. So she's almost there. The library is on our list.
All right.
Thank you.
Please do reach out. And then I have a question. So in regards to behavior issues, when you need to address those, do they go to see the principal or the superintendent?
Let's see the principal first.
Chain of command.
We don't escalate it to the superintendent unless we follow the chain of command. So yes, and I'm right next door to them. I constantly see them as they're walking in and out. I am blessed that I get to work with the students and Ms. Chavez and the tutors, because we just had a PED review last week, and they said it's a sweet school. That's exactly what it is. It's a beautiful place for the students to learn and in an environment that helps them succeed. And so they come to see me first, but I don't usually have to deal with that. It's usually, how are you doing? What have you been doing? It's those fun check-ins that I get to do.
Well, again, thank you for all your work, and I think that our school district is very lucky to have Cyber Magnet and
We are.
what it provides to those students that do attend. So
Thank you.
thank you so much. Right. GB of student outcomes is Ranchos Elementary Principal, Dr. Madeline Serna Marmal.
Good evening, Board President Flores, members of the board, and Superintendent Layton. As Board President Flores said, I'm Dr. Madeline Serna Marmol, And I've been the principal at Rochester Elementary for a little bit over a year. So this is my second year here at Rochester. Originally, when I moved back from Dominican Republic, in 2007, I actually taught at Rochester Elementary School. So it is a great place to be, and I'm glad I'm there. I really want to introduce somebody in our audience, our newly elected student council president, Alyssa Salazar. Can you please stand up? We're so proud of Alyssa. She declared her candidacy and then campaigned, so we had a total campaign. And then she wrote a speech and spoken in front of the entire student body population in an assembly. And then we had elections, and we had 3-year-olds to 5th graders participating in our elections. So she did an amazing job, and we're really proud of her. So who we are. I like to call us, the second slide, please. So I'd like to call us a CAP school because we're a community school, we're an avid school. We really espouse MLSS and try to work hard to not only work with our students academically, but social emotional learning as well. And we're using Panorama this year so that we can really gauge where our students are at not only in behavior, but also attendance, and also keeping track of where they are academically. So it's going to serve as our early warning system. Our teachers are getting acquainted with the new system. They really like it. Today, in fact, one of them was saying, well, how can I do notes on attendance? Because a student hasn't been here for 2 days in a row. I'm really worried about it. Call the family. They gave me more information, and we said, use Panorama. You can use that and have notes in there. So that was really helpful. We're a team of highly qualified teachers, educational assistants, ancillary staff, and highly trained support staff. And we're achieving excellence together. That's something as a team we came up with, our motto for our school. We have that in all of our information about our school. We always have achieving excellence together. When you leave our campus, our marquee has that, our motto there. Our demographics, I just updated that. 12% of our students are English learners. 21% of our students have IEPs. 30% of our students receive in-school behavioral health services. So whether it be with our partners, Taos Behavioral Health, or with social worker help, about 30% of our students get services. 56% of our students are male and 44% are female. And of course, like many other schools in our district, 100% are Title I students receiving free breakfast and lunch. Our staff count, we have about 45 staff, and 40 of them are full-time, so we do share staff with other schools. Our teachers, we have 21 teachers, and that includes our classroom teachers and also our activities teachers. We have a few vacant positions right now, and we'll have another one probably next week that we're trying to fill. We're trying to get a counselor for our school, possible SAT coordinator, and a gifted teacher. We would love for our students to receive gifted services. In terms of ethnicity, 85% of our students are Hispanic, 5% are white, Native American 7%, African American 2%, and Asian 1%. So our largest population is Hispanic students. A lot of our services and programs and partnerships, like I mentioned, we have our partnership with Taos Behavioral Health, and they're actually on our campus. And not only are they servicing our students in the classroom, but also, we have, a nurturing center where students can come during the day with a behavioral health specialist and a family navigator. They also have an after-school program and a summer program for our students. We have a life skills classroom. We have a great teacher and 3 EAs. We would love one more EA to help us. Our life skills teacher will be leaving us though on Friday, so we are looking for a new teacher. We're a community school, and this year we're lucky to have a community schools coordinator. And we have a lot of family engagement activities already. We're starting a food pantry at our school, and we do have a clothing bank. We work with organizations like UNM Taos, Twirl, Taos Rotary, sponsors for the Love of Reading program for our 2nd and 3rd graders, and we just added 1st grade, so we will be building that program. We work closely with Talpa Community Center. We are not fortunate enough to be right in town to have many opportunities to walk to places, but our students do walk from our school to Talpa. And so they get great exercise, and even our life skills class, if we have to use wheelchairs or push them in wagons, pull them in wagons, we do. So all of our students get to participate at Talpa. We have St. James Food Pantry comes to work for us and help us with food. And then we have a new Phoenix Academy that's going to be helping us one day a week with some behaviors. And we just opened up Reading Quest one day a week. So they're coming to help with our students. And we're really concentrating on our students who are nearing proficiency with the Reading Quest program, because the majority of our students are nearing proficiency. We'd love to get them over that hump to proficiency. So that shows you, the next slide is our iReady score school-wide. And as you can see, the largest percentage of our students in both reading and math are 1 grade below. So we would really like to help them get to grade level, 43% in reading and 51% in math. We are trying to concentrate. We're not getting rid of any of our reading programs, but concentrate a lot on math. So our activities teachers are helping us with math. Our EL teachers helping us with math. We're trying to incorporate math into as many daily lessons as we can. So, you know, in reading, 3% of our students are mid and above, not in math. So we'd like to change that. And as I said, really concentrate on those students who may be right nearing proficiency, 1 grade level below, so we can move them all up and increase our scores school-wide. Our goals this year, we'd like student growth in all academic areas, because not only do we look at proficiency, but we look at growth. So if we have a student who's 2 years behind, but they can grow to 1 year behind, we know that that shows a lot of potential for that student. So we're very interested in all academic areas, also social emotional learning, so SEL. We want our students to have a growth mindset so that they know they can do it. Not, oh, I'm not good at math, I'm not good at reading, no, we want them to have a growth mindset so they can track their growth and see how well that they're doing. And then also our soft skills. How do we talk to each other? How do we interact? Kindness is one of our goals, so we talk about kindness a lot. So those are our soft skills that we would like to grow. We'd like to have more PLC teacher collaboration, so these times that we have early dismissal at 2:30, we usually have time for staff meeting, PD, but we also want our teachers to collaborate, not only together as a grade, but also among grades. And then teacher and staff professional development opportunities. So again, that Friday helps us with that. And then school-wide data analysis, but not just the analysis of the data, progress monitoring, how are we doing every week, every month with our students, and then making sure that we're goal setting, not just as teachers school-wide, but goal setting with our students. And then, of course, family and community engagement is really important to us. Our community at Ranchos is a very tight-knit community, and we love having our engagement activities. On the next slide, you can see some of the activities we've had so far in the first semester. So our first day of school, we had a parent assembly, and 80% of our parents were there. And so we were really happy with that. We had our National Hispanic Heritage Kickoff, and 60% of our parents came to the assembly to hear their students. Are we able to show that clip?
Which I can't turn it. I did download it to YouTube, but I just can't turn it, so.
Okay, so we have a video. What we did for our kickoff is we had a contest for all our classrooms. And if they won the contest, they'd get a party. And so this is a clip. I'm sorry, it's sideways, but this is a clip of one of our classrooms participating. They had to sing Así es Nuevo Mexico for it, which is the state song in Spanish.
I couldn't do it.
Okay, no problem, no problem. So what we did was we had judges go to every single classroom from pre-K to 5th grade, and the students sang Así es Nuevo Mexico in Spanish. And one of the rooms that won a party was Miss Rael's class, and all of her students were dressed. This is a picture showing some of our students in Miss Martinez's class dressed up, but they were all dressed. And if sometime we can get the video to you, one of our boys who's dressed like a ranchero, a Mexican cowboy, is even rolling his R's and, you know, a whoop-ha and those kinds of things. So it was really cute. We ended up awarding 6 parties because there were so many great classrooms. We did root beer floats for all the parties, for all the classrooms that won. As I said before, we had our student council class elections and our voting. We had our Aloha Community Schools back to school night recently, last Wednesday, and we had almost 50% of all our families there. We fed way more than 50% of our families because we had aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandpas and siblings there. So it was a wonderful evening. Students got to meet their teachers. There was community resources. They had dinner there. It was lovely, lovely evening. We started our after-school program with our community schools. Yesterday, we had 20 students, and we have a range between kindergarten and 5th grade. And we're doing tutoring, we're doing homework completion. They have educational games. We're going outside so that they can get a little bit of recess time. And it is about, we go from 3:30 to 5:15, and we do it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're gonna have our Harvest Fest is actually gonna be 10/16, not 10/18, but it will be on a Wednesday evening. We find that Wednesday evenings for our community is sometimes that our parents really can come to school, and it's a great day for them. We'll also continue with Native American Heritage Month in November. We've reached out to Taos Pueblo. We've reached out to the Comanches from Ranchos, and they will be performing at our school. So we hope to have some interactive activities then. We'll be having our book fair, then our Thanksgiving meal, and our beginning of winter break. So those are our first semester activities. And thank you for listening to our Ranchos Elementary School PowerPoint, and I stand for questions.
Does the board have any questions or comments for Mrs. Malmag?
It's very encouraging. Just thinking, you know, obviously, like yourself, Dr. Marlowe, it's at home. Is there anything that you've researched in PED? That we can, I used to be part of Rotary. It's great that those Rotarians come and read, and they're not all Rotarians, they're volunteers.
Right.
That, we can move up the metrics for the students and have fun at the same time.
Well, I think our reading programs have really helped. And we've shown increases in our reading, and I think we need to do the same for math. So I think we need to get away from a lot of students telling us they're not good at math. They're good at math. But they need that encouragement. They need more fun games along with math, so it's not so tedious. A couple of my teachers, I just love it. When their students come back from activity, they have them at the door and they're just asking math facts, like the first 3 minutes as they're coming in. We played Around the World where we're just doing math facts again, 3 or 4 minutes, and it's just recalling easy math facts. And then they feel like, wow, I know this, I understand this. And some of those kids, I have second graders who are multiplying, they're very high. And that's why we would love to have some sort of gifted or some sort of innovative program that will help those kids. I'll go in and we'll do Around the World, and then I'll just throw in, 9 times 7, it's the best year. And they're like 63, because that's the year I was born. So they know that that's the best year already. So we play games like that, but it just takes 3 minutes of our time at the very beginning of class. And then we work on our standards, of course. So if we could have some sort of fun program with volunteers coming in, and we could have math quest, as well as reading quest, I think that would help make math fun, enjoyable, and our students would grow from that.
What about the high school kids coming? We think that, kids.
Well, we do have some interns,
Yes.
come on Friday.
Right.
And, for sure, the 5th grade has asked for interns that are great at math. And so we do have interns that are helping our students with math. They usually help a smaller group of some students who are struggling, but we are trying to use those resources as well.
Great,
Mhm.
thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Marmal, for your presentation. First of all, I want to recognize Mrs. Alyssa Salazar for being the student body president, and I want to.
And her mother and her grandmother are here, so we have
Yes.
3 generations of women here.
What an honor. In the role that you stepped into, is a big leadership role for your school. So I want to highlight that, and I want to just congratulate you and emphasize, that you are a role model for your fellow students. And I think it's just awesome to see that the Rancho Elementary is doing what they're doing in regards to promoting leadership, such as Ms. Salazar. And just something I'm proud of is Rancho Elementary is my alma mater. I went to school at Rancho Elementary. Woohoo!
Mustangs.
Just 2 more things I wanted
Sure.
to just highlight that I took on some of the notes here. I think it's really important that we emphasize the soft skills that you're teaching, because those things are utilized throughout our lives. And I think at a young age, it's very important to teach young children those skills. We're finding nowadays, unfortunately, that I think it's not being emphasized as much as it was back in the day when you got disciplined or taught at home. It's kind of not being taught at home, and it's good to see that the school's doing that. And I think it's very important that you're goal setting with your students. I think in doing that, you're giving ownership to their what they're trying to aspire to do and achieve. And it's not just being left on the teacher or it's being sent home to the parent, and just kind of meeting with the student. I think that's very important. And setting goals in life is very important for all of us to do at any age. So emphasizing that at a young age, I think will be very impactful as they grow through their educational careers. And just very happy with everything you're doing there, Ms. Marmal. And I just want to ask real quick on the vacant positions. You mentioned that you have a couple of vacant positions. Could you add that off?
So we have a special education resource teacher that's vacant, that's K through second grade. Our resource teacher from third to fifth has taken over the second grader, so he's helping with that. And we're trying to get additional support for our K and first grade students that have IEPs. We're gonna have a life skills position that's gonna be vacant on Monday. We're working with our EAs to help with that, so we're kind of moving staff around to help with our students. I have a vice principal position open, and we have 2 long-term subs, one in second grade and one in PE. We'll soon have a long-term sub in October, but she'll start as a brand new teacher in 5th grade on November 1st, because we do have a teacher retiring November 1st. We also have 2 special ed EA positions open.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that with the board. I do believe it's very important that we try to fill as many of those positions as possible. We've been advocating for that and working with the superintendent to solicit and recruit teachers. Definitely don't want to see long-term subs in second grade for very long, as we know a lot of our students are behind the grade level, and so I think it's very important that we highlight that, and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Thank you. Great. That was exciting. It's always good, it's always good to hear all that's going on at our various school sites. It's very energizing. So moving right along, item GC is our campus reports for review. We have under our campus reports that were not presented tonight is Zenos Garcia, Arroyos del Norte, Taos Middle School, Taos High School, and Cyber Magnet, who also presented along with Ranchos Elementary. Does the board have any questions or comments regarding the reports? If you do come across something, feel free to reach out to Superintendent Layton, any questions, and he'll relay them to the school sites. I did want to ask Superintendent, I did notice in a majority of our campus reports that our campuses are reporting on their attendance, but I didn't see some information from some of the campuses on attendance. I know that the board has been highlighting attendance, and I think it's important that we add that in our report so that we can kind of gauge where we're at as we go through the school year. It's, I think, very important, and as president of the board, I would like to request that our campus reports please highlight the attendance in their reports with your direction, however you want to do that. They are your staff, but I think it's important that the board see how we're addressing attendance issues. I mean, it is like a roller coaster. Some months are better than others and weeks are better than others, but as we kind of get through all this, I think it's good to review it.
President,
Secretary Trio.
2 things. One of them is, how is the attendance of the Flex Friday? Are the kids coming to school and are the interns being tracked as they go out? And what percentage is left at the school site? Is it as effective as we are hoping that it should be?
So, Board President, members of the board, if I can present, have Ms. Emmy come up, and we should be able to answer.
And then the other one is, along the same line, is, that, I think what I'm seeing is that our teachers are just, they took up teaching because they want to teach children. And that we just, allow them the freedom and not being bogged down with other things so that they can be free to teach and do what they love to do. And I think that's what we're gonna see the most rewarding
of this whole experience, this whole school experience, is that they learned from that teacher. And that teacher has, is developing, but they say that every person should be a mentor and be a protege. Again, constantly learning, but constantly giving. And that's what teachers are in essence. And I applaud them for that role. We all have that role in our lives. But the teachers have, to me, are the most precious, because they're the ones that take care of the children that we're entrusting them with. But yet to love what they do is just so special, and the passion that they have. We want to be able to make sure that they have that opportunity.
So to answer your question, and that was, it's a really large one when we look at Flex Friday. So keeping in mind when we actually supported, starting that program is really to be innovative and looking at alternative ways and for meeting graduation requirements as well for students that weren't typically on the, looking at, college and career, college specifically. So what we do is, just for a real quick recap, and I added that into my board report, but I'll be talking about it in depth the next board meeting, because that's our presentation.
Okay.
But to answer your question, we have over 750 students, and so many of them are at different sites. We are tracking them. We've gotten that tighter, almost definitely, because we have to be accountable for their daily hours. We have to be accountable for them earning credit. We have students that work as our Flex Friday helpers to be able to call and be able to check in with the schools. Like at our elementaries, we have about over 10 in some schools. We have 2 in some schools. We have so many different schools within our district and outside, like our charter schools, asking for interns as well, that kind of support. But we have definitely honed in on the attendance of our Flex Friday program, because last year was a little bit more difficult. So if you think about it as almost an individual time for a student, we have a student that may be coming on campus for 2 AP classes, right? And they're doing an internship, or they're working, or, in the afternoon. So gauging that, every single student has something unique to what they're doing on Fridays, and we're tracking that as best as we possibly can. So next week, if it's okay, I can speak a little bit more to that, to answer your questions and go through that whole.
Actually, that answered it, just that there's a tracking mechanism in place.
Absolutely. And to answer the second part, I hear what you say about passion in teachers and teaching. And what we try to do is we really want to encourage that passion beyond what that core content. So we've opened it up to teachers as well. If you had the opportunity to teach something on Flex Friday, what would that look like? What would it be? And many of our teachers have taken that opportunity to do it. Some have a passion. We have a new science teacher that's passionate about closing the achievement gap with our math. And she's helping us with our iReady sessions. We have a lot of different teachers that have that opportunity. So yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Any other question?
Oh, I didn't have a question at all. I just wanted to,
Okay.
really, thank all the principals for being here and reading the, student outcomes and the reports that that we get. It's, I think super important to highlight the shift that's happening within our school district, and it's like really empowering to see this level of hope now, like with all of who's present in the room right now, and all the time and effort and work that's been put in, and no school is better than the other. I think all the work that's happening within the schools is very innovative. I think Dr. Layton's leadership here is as well as Renetta's is just taking us in a direction where I see, and I shared this with Dr. Layton, how we may be 52 part of that number of the lowest in the nation for education, but I really think that Taos and the district is paving the way to help us put that rank up, and hopefully other schools around New Mexico will follow our efforts to change those numbers. So I really do appreciate all of the principals being here in attendance tonight.
Thank you. Thank you all for your support as well. That matters to all of us. We appreciate that.
And we'll comment. Yeah, and this is personally as a father. Our daughter is one of the freshmen that have the opportunity working at the DA's office. And I fortunately I take her to the DA's office and pick her up, and she's telling me, I said the DA empowered all of them to write about, their passion, and not all of them got to read the first week, but it's really amazing that there's quite a bit of freshmen that has the opportunity. She's bilingual. I know she's thinking of medicine, but with that skill and being able to talk two languages, have two names for everything, and to help the people who are, whatever reason, it's great because, we're only as good as the least among us. And so I think we all know that. I mean, like I shared with the UNM, all the directors, we have a housing problem, a homeless problem in our community. And we really need to put our heads together about that, because we're all connected, we're all connected. And someone shared with me yesterday, and it wasn't here, but I think we could all relate. Let other people know that we haven't given up on them. Sometimes they think that, but we haven't given up on them. They need to hear that, and I think that was amazing. This person sharing that with me, who does outreach for the homeless in another community, other state. And I think that was just powerful in that summation, that, keep going.
President Flores, members of the board, I just want to commend Emmy for the Flex Friday internships. Just to say, in our office, we even have an intern, young lady, sophomore by first name Janae, but who knows, maybe like the way I let her know, you may be interning now, but in the future, you could be sitting in the chair, so it's good to see that.
It opens so many opportunities for our kids, and we're so fortunate to our community and everyone that's supporting this. And every week, I will tell you, we get 2 to 3 more community entities. The DA's office was, they were most recent to come on board, and they got 15. I'll share more next time. I know my time won't start till the next board meeting, but thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
And in regards to interns, I look in Miss Young Salazar over here, and one of these days, hopefully, herself or other young students that come to our district will be sitting in our seats, leading the way. And just to echo Ms. Concha's comments about Taos School District, the teachers and the staff and the administrators are the ones that are doing all the heavy lifting, and we really appreciate that. And I really heard what Ms. Concha said is, I think we should look at Taos as being a leader in the state and to lead the state out of our achievement issues that we're having right now with the achievement gap and so forth. So let's continue to work towards that. And thank you for your comments, Ms. Concha. So item I is presentations, IA Gear Up, Mr. Robert Trujillo, Gear Up Coordinator.
So saw some people rolling their eyes when I saw me coming up here. Tables over there. The amount of time that I can spend up here. Good news is I'm limited to one
I
program.
saw you over there by yourself. They're all over here.
Yeah, they're smart. They're smart. Well, thank you, everybody. Dr. Layton, President.
Call me whatever you want.
President Flores, members of the board, community, thank you for allowing me to come up here this afternoon, this evening, to briefly discuss our Gear Up program here for the Taos schools, mainly at, well, it is only for our 7th through 12th graders here at the Taos Municipal Schools for Taos Middle School and Taos High School. A little bit of history, the district went after a grant approximately 4 years ago, or maybe a little bit more, for college and career readiness, Gear Up, gaining earlier awareness and readiness for undergraduate programs. The district received this award, a 7-year award from the federal government, kind of under the umbrella of the higher education department. We call it the HED. They were able to funnel that money into several districts, and high schools and middle schools, and Taos High School became and Taos Middle School became one of those. What is Gear Up? I just finished going over gaining early awareness and readiness for undergraduate programs. One of the other things that we do for Gear Up, and again, throughout the state and around the nation, is increase college and career readiness for underrepresented students. Even though it is for all students at both schools, 7th through 12th graders, it is, we do try to hone in on underrepresented, first generation students. But of course, our program is designed to help all students at Taos High School and Taos Middle School. Increase the knowledge, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
That's okay, you go one back. Increase the knowledge of post-secondary options, preparation, financing among students and families, improving the high school graduation, post-secondary enrollment rates. And on the next slide, I'll kind of tap into how those bullets that I just shared with you and kind of what are some of the things that support those bullets that I just went over. Although Europe is a lot more. So some of the things that help support those bullets that you just saw on the previous slide. We have a college and vocational school visits, going to other campuses, visiting them, taking students, offering up UNM, CNM. We try to do those in one day because they're kind of located at the same place. Because college and career is not just about college. It's about our vocational schools, certifications, and so forth, and how our students can be successful with all the different avenues that are available to them. Because I think sometimes we hone in a little bit too much on college, although college is very, very important. But as you can see, this job force and this workforce that we are experiencing right now is not limited to just college, and there's a lot of really good jobs out there that are paying well. And I'll go into a little bit of some of the things that we did at Taos High School this week. Not solely me, but some of the things that Miss Linda and Miss Emmy brought on board as far as the Pro Be Proud. College application days, helping that we're going to be in classrooms next week. I got support from UNM, from Bridges, some other community members to help us with 2 days next week, going into our senior English classes and helping out students apply for colleges. The counseling department will come in with transcripts and all the different codes that are needed for our students to be able to do that. And then, of course, we'll open up our office in case they need more help later. Those are just some of the little things. Gear Up Week, doing stuff for Gear Up Week. This week was actually Gear Up Week, and we got really, really lucky that Linda and Miss Emmy were able to bring in the Be Pro Be Proud truck, and then I kind of helped out with some of the little things, some of the little pieces there, and that helped us out with one of the deliverables that we have to have for Gear Up. FAFSA nights, financial aid stuff, helping students and families navigate through that process. I am no expert there, so I try to, I can do it, but I bring in again, Bridges, I'll bring in UNM people, Crystal from UNM is just outstanding. She knows how the ins and outs of FAFSA, and so we can help families and students to support them in that way. College signing day, I think some of you are familiar with that, just having some fun stuff for students to be able to say where they're going, and we were able to push that into for students as well. We offer tutoring, push-in services after school. Right now, we are looking, if you could spread the word out there, we're looking for maybe a retired math teacher, somebody who has a lot of high, who has the background in mathematics, because we want to push in. We have the money available in my budget to push in a math tutor into our freshman classes, because we know that freshmen need a lot of support in those areas. And when we find that freshmen are successful in their freshman year, they tend to have a little bit more longevity in their high school careers. Go on to the next slide there, Ms. Maria, thank you. Just some more stuff that we can do, that we offer support in Europe. Scholarship and resume writing, credit recovery, I can support that with funding. Leadership and STEM conferences. We've taken students to leadership conferences in the state, STEM for our women in Albuquerque. We have a college engagement organization, and we call them CEOs. We have about 8 students this year. I know last year they ended with about 15 to 17, but I think because I'm new, maybe they're freaked out a little bit that the former principal is in there and they're wondering if they're in trouble or not. But we're getting them. They've started coming in, and we started this years ago, and I started with like 3 to 5, and we grew it to about 7, and then Miss Nikki McCarty was able to get close to probably 17 students last year, and we'll pick them up again. But those students are outstanding. They help us with organizing events. They're going to be taking on some service learning projects, hopefully tied to some of the things that are happening for Flex Fridays and so forth. Professional development staff, those are some of the things that we offer also for Gear Up. I know Miss board member Cynthia Spray is going to be heading out with Miss Melissa Eager and I, and John Hedden, and Marisol Trujillo from the middle school, Avid, because Avid is associated with all the things that we do here. Marisol is the Avid coordinator and teacher over there at Taos Middle School. I am missing Miss Juliana Matz, one of the counselors at the high school, and I think I might hit all of them. But we're going to be checking out, they're going to be able to see what the Gear Up is about, and hopefully be able to come back to the community, come back to the board of the board member Spray here, and hopefully have a good experience over there at that train. Go ahead. There we go. Woo, that was my last slide, 3 slides. Yeah, and I still took 20 minutes. Just some quick things that we did here this week during Gear Up Week, to show you kind of some of the things that we were able to expand on and help out the schools with, because it's not just about the Gear Up program and what it does. We're able to support a lot. So, we even though we didn't organize this event, we were able to support it with some of the different things that come from our office. For day one here, you're looking at one of our students here, Isla, who was one of our academic, not interns, but what were they called? Ambassadors. So we chose I think we had 7 or 8 ambassadors. They got trained in the morning. So she's getting trained right now from Mike, from the Be Pro, Be Proud truck, which is a mobile unit that goes throughout the state. I think this whole program started in Arkansas many years ago, spread throughout the country. And this mobile unit came onto our campus and has all this outstanding and wonderful CTE type equipment in the background there. You'll see a loader for electrical, and they were able to do simulations, get into a simulator and go up and down, and it kind of grades the student on certain things so that they can see kind of what their levels are at and like what kind of salaries they'd be making if they were an expert in some of these fields. Isla's right there on a heavy equipment right there, a backhoe, I believe. And then you got students back there in welding centers, a lot of virtual stuff. One of our ambassadors was able to take a look at home improvement, and so cutting sheetrock, repairing piping, and so forth. And then our ambassadors were then able to, and if you want to hit the next slide, then they were able to help out through the rest of the day with all these students that came in intervals and waves of about 20 to, I don't know, 25 students maybe. And they were in there and just taking a crack at all the different stuff that's there. They're way in the back there past that other heavy machine operating is a simulator as well. Yeah, cool stuff. Really cool stuff there that we did this week, and there's a bunch of students right there that are waiting to jump on those machines and take a look at maybe some of the future endeavors that they're going to have. Hit the next slide. Just another example of some of the things that just from a different angle. Some of the Be Pro, Be Proud people there supporting our students. Hit the next slide. We did during Gear Up Week, we did a little activity with one of the freshman Avid classes. It's so funny to watch the freshmen because they're kind of deer in the headlights, but they're going over some of the different occupations and things out there. So we hit one of the Avid classes, took a little picture here of, we did a sidewalk chalk activity, got them out of class. It was a nice day, and there's a pretty cool little logo and everything, and occupation that this kid wanted to do. And I think we have one more slide. Can't remember what it is. Oh, yeah, yesterday, college and career fair at the high school. And, today.
Today.
Yeah, so awesome, opportunity for all our students to go around, but that was just some of the things that Gear Up Week is able to splash out there. I think that was it. Last slide.
Thank you, Mr. Trujillo. Does the board have any questions or comments for Mr. Trujillo on the Gear Up program?
I'm just curious, because you have a lot going on, which is really great, like, it's amazing that all the opportunities created. Are you like tracking, any of this data or student engagement, family engagement? You know, just to see who's participating and how they're, like, any feedback you're getting on the programs that their students are engaged in, anything like that?
So let me answer that in two different ways. Number one, you know, our program is designed to, you know, support other programs as best we can and within 7th to 12th grade, depending on if it falls within the parameters and the guidelines under the Gear Up playbook. So we're able to support that way with finances, taking students on trips and so forth. To go to your, so I'm not sure if that really helped you out there, but we do track. I'll give you an example, college engagement organization meetings. I have to track all of that, and that gets put into this huge database that my assistant, John Hennon, he's the district Gear Up data coordinator. I'm the program coordinator, he's the data coordinator, and he is always on the computer throwing in and dumping in data on students that I visit, students that I advise, advisement, the students that were visiting, the Be Proud truck. We're gonna get that data from Miss Emmy, I think next week. I think she can send you an email. We're gonna see what students attend, not by name, but the amount of students that attended and participated. So that has to get pushed in through to the higher education department, because they're looking at it as well. So that was a brief answer there.
Yeah, more for like efficiency, you know, like effectiveness and all that good stuff, but when you see it happening, and that was just my question that you answered.
Anecdotally, I've had students come up that were not Gear Up students at Towson because we didn't have this program, but throughout the district, like you'll meet people like at some of these conferences, and they'll go up and say, you know, they're working for Gear Up now. They were Gear Up students and so forth. So there's that out there as well.
I appreciate it, Mr. Trujillo. But with that, in regards to board member Concha, the little girl working on the heavy machinery, you know, are we connecting the dots of, is there career training for in regards to backhoe operator? These guys are working on the roads. Those guys had to learn somewhere. You know, is that something, I don't know if there's a trade school. I mean, obviously, if your dad's owns a contracting company, you learn how to build. Or if your dad's a mechanic, you know, you're watching them work underneath an engine. So how are we moving this forward? You know, the little girl sitting in a little, I said that virtual seat, and she's working a heavy machinery. Because a lot of these kids aren't going to be sitting behind a computer, are not going to be accountants, but they need to eat, need to provide for their families.
Again, Gear Up has a line, I guess you want to say. So to answer your question, this is where I'm going to go in next week into the English classes, and hopefully students like the young lady that you saw are going to now utilize myself and others as a resource to say, hey, I want to look at CNM because I believe, do you think that they have a heavy equipment operating program? And we're going to say, well, let's get on your devices and let's check this out with you. And so we're going to pull up CNM. That's what we've done the last few years. So you're pulling up CNM and you're taking a look at a list of all the, you know, nursing, certification programs, all these different things for CNM, and, you know, Luna Community College in Las Vegas. And that's where we're able to support and help students. Yeah, we're not, it's myself and John Hedden. So anybody who wants to come visit our office, we're gonna help them and support them in that way. We're gonna help guide them through to career and occupational goals and so forth. So that's how we can support that. We're gonna take them to college and career visits, help them with the FAFSA so their families, so that they don't feel so overwhelmed when it comes time for that financial aid stuff to happen, because those are a lot of the things indirectly that we can help and support versus just saying, you know, okay, he's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do next? And you know, holding her hand that way versus a lot of times students get bogged down with the things that can create fear, which are the FAFSA, college applications, and going, oh my God, how do I navigate through that? I don't know how to write a resume. I don't know how to apply for scholarships. We can do that, or we can point them in the right direction. We can say to my wife, hey, Sue and Hannah, can you guys come in and do a one-on-one with these students? So I don't know if that helped out.
Yeah, one item, you know, with actually being on the board, we have continuing ed, we have our conferences, and Hobbs, I think, was recognized nationally for their career technical education training. And what you're alluding to, going to a conference, are you looking at people who are doing a little bit more than, you know, what we're doing in Taos? You know, we always learn from someone better, and how we can maybe dovetail that, you know, how we can emulate it, bring it to Taos, so the students here can have other in regards to career paths. So I don't know if you know, Hobbs they were recognized nationally for their in regards to their CTE program.
Yeah, that's a program that's associated with Taos High, like an alt principal. We had CTE program STEM, and so that's. I think we're going into another.
That's not under you guys', us in your purview.
No, but I can support that with again, taking students to visit. I can bring in maybe presenters, guest speakers, workforce people. I think that would be under my under the umbrella of what I could spend money on.
Well, that'd be good.
And not in a long-term way. So as in a, let's bring some people over to us, kind of like the college and career. Let's bring them over to us and let's present to a body of students.
Exactly. And actually give them ideas.
Yes,
regards to career
but when
paths.
you're looking at supporting like programs like that, you're looking at Perkins funding, you know, money that's available to start up like our culinary arts program years ago, Woods and medals and things like that. And what new programs are you bringing into the school? Perkins can do a lot of things like that to help support the initial startup of a new program. And I'm not sure.
No, that's good. That's good. No, you know, sometimes, like you said, there's a lot of careers that kids don't have to go to college. I have a birthday coming up next month. I said one was decades, and the girl was telling me about being a radiologist. She went to Las Cruces, there's a waiting list. So, you know, those kids who can get in the program for some reason, you know, and they can have a career in medicine that, you know, you don't have to go 12 years for med school.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Okay.
Can I add?
Yeah.
Something to- I was just gonna add for the board as well, is that, this CTE, the Be Proud, is a really good insight for students that are looking at alternate paths, technical. This is, I think, one of the first times we're able to support that, but it lends to the colleges that were there this morning. So Lincoln Tech, there's another one that's really, we have a lot of, CTE programs and colleges that come. Earlier in the week, we had the ROCA visit, and those were kind of Ivy League schools, so about 15 of those. But then we also have the offerings of how many 20 colleges that were there. This is a lot of them have those different paths for students. So I just wanted to add to that because I've heard about the HOBS program and I've heard that they have CTE secretaries and they have this huge, you know what I mean? So it's really exciting to build up, support something like that. But the Gear Up really supports what our actions are right now. And if we come up with this idea and attendance initiative or, bringing these bigger programs to our school, Gear Up is like the backbone behind supporting that financial piece that we need. So that's a huge partnership that we have.
Awesome.
So I just wanted to add to it.
Yeah, it's almost like a leadership camp for kids, and they all get around, they talk, they're in the dorms, they're sharing dorms. It's like, hey, this is what we do over in our community, like here we ski, people sometimes go rafting, this is what we do for fun on weekends, where someone else may go ride horses or dirt bikes or something. Right. Yeah.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate the presentation, and it's nice to see that you're continuing to support your local community and work with the kids. I think it's great. And Superintendent Leon is new to the community, and I shared this, and when I was in second grade, Mr. Trujillo was going to college to become a teacher, and his mom was my second grade teacher, and he came into to be my substitute teacher for on and off, and the first thing he had to do was write lines on the chalkboard. I will not do this. I will not do that.
That is a practice that is definitely way outdated. I would never want to see that in the classroom.
But it got me here.
Well, I had to do it too. Yeah, I know, but I had some good times.
Yeah.
And it's
You've done well for the community. Appreciate you very
that
much.
experience that want to help me to make a decision to do this for my career. Yeah.
Disciplined kids, huh? Appreciate you, Mr.
No problem.
Thank you. All right, item J is our district update. JA, our Safety, Security and Operations Director, Mr. Marco Severa.
Good evening, board.
Good evening, sir.
President Burks,
How are you, sir?
Dr. Legan, Ms. Bryant, Ms. Gentile. So what I'm gonna cover for y'all is I'm gonna actually go backwards on where I started. I'll cover safety and security again, 'cause I'm sure you have a lot of questions about the last couple of weeks. Transportation, so I have team meetings similar to what Dr. Legan does with us in our cabinets. So my team meets weekly and we discuss things that are going on in the departments throughout the district that they feel are the most important things for us to cover with the board. I know you guys do receive some of that through your weekly report from the superintendent, check out the good practice that we do here. Transportation wanted to report out that drivers are reporting more riders. This will be crucial for funding on the 80th and 120th day. So we're pretty happy with that because that was one thing that we wanted to do from last year was increase the ridership. Now, we can't say it's increased yet because I want to show you actual data points to prove that. But where we will prove it, hopefully will be on that 80th day to start and that 120th day. And of course, that's how we get our funding for transportation. So we're doing good so far. Let's hope it continues. Nutrition. I'm very pleased to announce that September 30th, Taos High School will be receiving their new serving line. It took a while before we were able to get it. There was a whole lot of hoop jumping with funding and funding running out, and we got it done. So the 30th, the company will be here, starting the installation. We're hoping by October, I want to say 3rd, we'll have it completely done and installed. And me and the wonderful people at the high school have a new serving line, which I think will add to, because it's already been a pretty good atmosphere that's been created at Taos High School this year. Facilities and maintenance, I'm gonna add a few things because I sat in on the financial meeting. So, yes,
Can I
ma'am.
ask a question?
Absolutely.
On the food part, is the food being prepared at the school site?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
it's being,
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
food that is being prepared?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not packaged?
No, our cooks are preparing everything in-house at our cafeterias.
And at all the
at
cafeterias.
all our cafeterias, all our sites. So
Okay.
there's one of the things that we did this year was, changing our menus. Christina had more information on it, but again, I wanted to see it more in data form. The menus have changed. I've been doing the walkthroughs through every single one of the cafeterias. Mr. Rand had been out, for a couple weeks and we're trying to avoid an infection for her. So I've been actually walking around through all the cafeterias and visiting with all the cafeteria staff, but more importantly, I've been asking students about food. And so far, I haven't heard anything negative. Burrito pie day, I would encourage all of you to go out and try it. We actually, after one of our little meetings there, we actually went out to Ranchos to go and try the Frito pies because it's apparently like, this is a big deal. I didn't realize how big a deal this is in the district. But they all cook with the same things. This is all the same ingredients, but they're having this little bit of like, well, we make it better at Aurora, we make it better. So I got Dr. Ray involved. I threw his name out there. He was gonna be going to try it. So I'd encourage you guys on those Frito pie days and maybe we can throw out a notification just to let you guys know. It seems to be something that the cafeteria staff is taking pride in, so I would encourage you to go out there and try a cafeteria. I spoke up on Gavel Nachos that day. Actually, Dr. Sergio was there with me when I kind of made it public to the group. I have to remember, we belong to every school, not just lunches. So that's our nutritionist.
Good, because we have to remember that some of these kids, that's the only meals that they get or what they get in our schools.
Absolutely.
So that's two good meals at the breakfast. And what do they serve for like for breakfast?
Breakfast has had mostly packaged stuff. One of our breakfast success stories, and I'll just share at least here. So we kind of cleared our lobby of students in the morning at Taos High School. If you haven't gone there yet, you're not gonna find a ton of students, but prior to that, we were serving lunch in the lobby area, trying to hit more kids as they came in. With the help of Miss Emmy and her staff, we've actually been able to move kids into the cafeteria in the morning. Security, technology, Mr. Ted and Miss Emmy's staff were able to get a TV set. Well, they had a TV set up, but we had to there's a whole lot that goes into that, making sure that students don't take over the TV during the day. So it's a whole process that was done through IT, Taos High School with Miss Emmy and with Dominic from security. And they were able to provide the students with, I'm not sure exactly what we're watching in the morning yet, or
Just music.
whatever, but it's entertaining for the students. They can sit there, they can relax, they can enjoy breakfast. And again, without cell phones, it's become a more social thing for them. So maybe at some point we can implement other things that they can actually watch or whatever, listen to. But so far, it's more importantly for me, it's upped our breakfast counts a little bit. Not a whole lot yet, but definitely a little bit at Taos High School. Breakfast everywhere else seems to be pretty steady, but Taos High School is one that we really wanted to increase I want students at Taos High School to eat.
Yeah.
I want them to stay on campus. I want them to eat our food. I want them to enjoy the experience of lunch. And I think Ms. Emmy has had some great ideas that we're helping follow through with. And Mr. Rand definitely in her support for her nutrition staff at each of her sites, but Taos High School definitely is kind of where we're trying to get the count.
What time in the morning do they eat? What's the window?
We open the doors at 7:15. So by 7:15, we're feeding kids.
Until what, about half hour, because the bell rings at.
Yeah, that's the deal is we have to do it, I think we're done by 8.
Yeah.
8 o'clock, we're done with the breakfast.
Okay.
Because of the food handling stuff, it has to be done.
Vice President Smith.
Thank you.
No,
Hi, how are you?
well,
Can you said cooked food at lunch and you said packaged food at breakfast?
well, it's still cooked, but the ones that I've
Example of what.
the ones I've
breakfast-
seen for breakfast are like the little pastry that has no flavor.
Right, I'm with you.
That's what there's also been some other things that I've seen that are packaged in aluminum, which means they were cooked in-house.
So are they like burritos or?
That's my gathering is yes.
So would it be?
And the
2
breakfast pizza, the elementary is the star. The
Oh,
elementary kids seem to appreciate the breakfast pizza.
Breakfast pizza?
Yeah.
I remember that.
In the middle of winter, as a parent, I always kind of thought of like oatmeal or hot breakfast. Would it be a big stretch to go to think about that maybe
Absolutely.
for in the winter time, especially when it's
I
snowing?
think it's a great idea.
You agree?
Yes, I agree.
I knew you would.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Moving forward to my facilities and maintenance. So I'm gonna actually go into a couple things, but not a whole lot, because I'm sure Dr. Layton would like to have a discussion with us on the financial stuff that you all just heard, and I don't want to overstep without going through it with Ms. Maestas and Dr. Layton and with Ms. Mondragon. However, new gates have been installed at RES and Enos, and they're today fully operational. I actually sat with Dr. Trina Marmo this afternoon to show her, to show Dennis how we're going to be utilizing them at her school and also at Enos today. Fred did an excellent job of getting all that put together as one of his major projects. That being said, we do have a lot of money that's invested into the fencing right now. We just have not been billed for it yet. That's kind of, we wait till the project is over before we sign that C of O and we're gonna pay a big bill. We do, looking at the funds that were brought to our attention today, could rest assured that we are going to be looking into the continuous fencing that we actually put a pause to. A lot of these funds are, yeah, they're available and we are going to spend them. I can assure you that, but there's also a little bit of contingency that, you know, my job is to sit there and say, wait a minute, what if X, Y, and Z also happens? So making sure that I don't run out of money before the end of this year is also important. For instance, a fire panel at the Royals Del Norte is estimated at $800,000. So absolutely, can we get one with the money that I saw on that budget? Absolutely. We also just had a major thing happen at Arroyos on Monday, I'm sure you were well aware of. We had a water holding tank went empty. Now, in all my years with the district, including my stint at Arroyos, I've never seen it go empty. What happened by going empty is it actually, there was a potential to kill 3 of our pumps. That gets very expensive. We have already put in, we've already ordered a part. It takes about 8 weeks to come in. Dr. Levin and I sat down with this over a month ago, so we're thinking ahead. We already ordered the part, which is great for us. When it came to my attention, I had to let Dr. Levin know it's the difference between closing the school for 30 days or closing it for a day. But we were lucky enough that it was the 1 day deal. So Alipio was able to get the pump running about 1:30. That's why school had to be dismissed. Dr. Layton made that decision based on the information provided from X Energy and from Alipio and his staff on the ground. Getting the pumps running back at 1:30 was due to a fuse that had gone out due to electrical outages in the Arroyo Second area. This is a constant thing that we're dealing with. Maria's dealing with IT. Each of my principals is dealing with it on a different note, because sometimes their internet goes out or they lose power to their cameras. It affects us all. This is things that we've been working on with Mr. Reyes there at Kit Carson, talking about the what things that we can do. It took almost 24 hours for that tank to refill. Now, the reason it had to be refilled is you have to have so much pressure in that tank before we can just open up those pumps. As I mentioned, those pumps are very expensive, and running dry pumps is not a good thing. So the process now is to get a notification system, which Alipio has already looked into. The moment it happened, he identified the issue. He looked into an identification a notification system, both for Arroyos and for Ranchos. For those of you who don't know, Arroyos and Ranchos are our only schools that are off wells. So this is to protect us from that. The rest were all hooked up to city or to some sort of water source, but that's not going to be an issue. So again, district money for fire panels will cost us in the ballpark of 800,000 at Arroyos, 1.2 million at Taos High School. These are prices that have already been looked at, and it doesn't mean we're not doing them. It just means that we're looking into, is this the time to do it? Absolutely, we want to do it. Now we know that there's funding available for certain things. Rethinking the district is a big project that Alipio has been working on. Every price that comes back for Alipio is $140,000, just to throw that out there. $90,000 for hardware alone at Taos Middle School. If you've been to Taos Middle School, you see that we have an issue with, a play area that doesn't exist. We've been working with Ms. Martinez, is it around here, there she is, to try to fix that situation. We have a paver, looking into a project there. We also asked about the paving project, the possibility of Taos High School. If you've been through Taos High School, our pavement it's far beyond repair. It's time to replace. We're looking at upwards of 1.2 million to replace the parking lot at Taos High School, and that includes the possible future student parking in the back. Now that we have our auxiliary gym, that is going to move teacher parking, teachers who are parking out there. I believe we're given notification this week that starting September, we can no longer have parking there. That is going to impact our parking situation at Taos High School. We already had contingency for it, but this again goes back to money that could be spent, but it's gonna be costly for the parking at Taos High School. The administration building that you all come to for these meetings and for your other business out there alone, we're looking at another $1.2 million for the entire thing to be redone, and including Taos Cyber Magnet, which is a school. So, I mean, should they have a dirt parking lot? Probably not. Again, I want to be mentioned a list. So as you can see, we absolutely have a list identified already of these very important things that need to be fixed. But we also do have these strange things that just pop up, like a flood at Enos Garcia. Now, the reason ESSER was used for that, not for that one, ESSER was used at AD&E. The reason we didn't use any of this money for Enos is stroke of bad good luck, if you want to call it. Our boiler system was totally terminated there, but our insurance paid for it, as well as the flooding stuff. So we did get kind of a freebie there, although we did have the money already ready to spend to replace the boiler anyway. So, and like I said, I'll have a little better report on that after I meet with Dr. Layton and Ms. Mondragon and with finance, so that we can give you a better update as to that list and where that money is going to be prioritized or was already listed as priority. Do you have any questions on maintenance and facilities department?
I just have a comment in regards to compiling that list, Mr. Herrera. I think it's important that we do an assessment at each one of our school sites and compile that list. And it's gonna take time, but also put dollar amounts to those individual items. Due to the fact that we sat in our finance committee meeting and we had the ability to go out for bonding in a certain dollar amount that will not affect our tax base. So I think for the board to see, you know, all the immediate needs at some of our school sites, and as you start adding these up, you know, 1.2 million, 1.2 million, 800,000, we could get to 10, 15, 20 million real quick. And it's important that the board see that so that we could, it'll help us determine path moving forward.
And we'll be absolutely more than willing to help prepare that with financing and Dr. Lee.
And then I think it's good historically too. So we look back at our district, you know, in 2024, we identify all these needs. And as we go forward each year to the legislature, we could request capital outlay funding, or and seeing that dollar amount, we make a hard decision, you know what, we need to go out for bonding, pass it along to the citizens for an election, and let everybody know that we need major upgrades and facility needs.
Absolutely. So my last department that I'm gonna touch on here is the safety and security. So I will just jump into it. You were all aware of Taos High School being on the lockdown in the past week, and I wanna publicly commend Ms. Emmy's staff for a wonderful job in handling that lockdown. When I got out to meeting, in particularly, Ms. Camille and Mr. Hafid, were recognized by the sheriff's department as taking in students. I don't want to give too many details on where or what, but they were seen actually putting students into a safe sheltered place outside of the main building, which we later viewed on cameras, and it was amazing the reaction that we had these two teachers, and if they were here tonight, I would have loved to have thanked them publicly, and so I'm thanking them publicly right now. Camille and Hafid did an excellent job. So when we do have events like this, we do have a logistics plan. We have an incident command. It's actually, Dr. Layton, myself, Ms. Gentet, the security team, everybody was on it. There's logistics that need to take place. We have the ability to get out the information as needed, and as recommended by the superintendent. When the Taos Sheriff's Department responded, the Taos Police Department responded, I responded, we were on the ground within minutes. I was actually at Ranchos when I got the call. That's the Frito Pie day. And I didn't get a chance to enjoy the Frito Pie. So we were on the ground within 5 minutes due to the fact that I don't run lights on my vehicle. Otherwise, we'd have been there quicker. By the time I showed up, I had PD, SO surrounding our school, surrounding the interior, the exterior. Talked with Mr. Martinez, our head of security at the high school. He had already he told me where everybody was the moment I got there. Our eye in the sky was already on cameras. They were viewing everything that was happening. They were relaying the messages to us, and we were sharing that information. The incident was cleared. It was reduced to a shelter by the superintendent, and then it was cleared eventually completely within, I believe, 53 minutes. Superintendent, is that correct? That's pretty great. One of the things I want to attribute it to, and this was said to me by the Lieutenant Armijo from the Sheriff's Department, and also by Sergeant Martinez from Taos Police Department, is when they got to the gate, the guard shack, we didn't have a line of parents. We didn't have a line of community members coming to pick up their kids for fear or for whatever reason. In the past, we've all been through those incidents where we couldn't get law enforcement into the high school. We couldn't get law enforcement out of the high school. I couldn't get in or out of the high school. I'm parked five rows down from parents trying to get in. The security staff was able to do their job. They were able to use the radios along with Taos High School staff to coordinate without any interference from cell phones. So I'm not here to beat that horse, right? But I got to see it firsthand how it helped in the law enforcement world, and law enforcement was definitely appreciative of the fact that we didn't have bottlenecks. And I believe that we didn't have many pickups that afternoon, am I correct? Few, but it wasn't like it was before. We also had another incident that I know y'all had questions about, possibly was the Taos Middle School incident. And once again, I want to thank Miss Martinez, Miss Linda, for her and her staff, Mr. Chavez, on a wonderful investigation of a situation that, again, had we had cell phones, I guarantee would have got out a lot sooner, and it would have been misinformation at best. We coordinated with Taos Police Department. We were on it. I think by 10 o'clock that day, we were already 9 o'clock, we were already done with the situation. The situation was extended because of an incident on the bus that had to do with the original incident, because that's how it works in schools. Kid A tells kid B when they get a chance. We cannot control that. But what was great about it is we were able to identify certain students, given our information from a wonderful bus driver who did an excellent job. And I want to say, Gary did a wonderful job in his reporting. He did a wonderful job in questioning the student. Let me explain that. Diego and Samantha were immediately on their bus cameras. And this is, we've talked to you about the bus cameras. They're live cameras, but they also have audio. We were able to hear the student's conversation with our bus driver, who did like a textbook question and answers. He wasn't trying to get information out of him in a negative way. He was simply asking questions that I would think a father or a mother would ask him. Student answered. Student gave the information. We were able to follow up the next morning. Myself, Ms. Martinez, and I think there was at least 4 officers in the Taos Police Department. We were able to do the follow-up, a second investigation, and we were able to actually view the footage, hear the dialogue between the bus driver and the students, and we were able to make a decision off of that. So it goes to show you that a lot of the stuff that we've already put in place are really paying off now. You guys all approved this stuff last year for us. We were able to get it in place over the summer, actually at the end of last year, and now it's paying dividends. I'm very proud of the security department this year. They are all now completely certified security specialists. Every single one of them attended trainings of up to 20 hours with 3D Security of Albuquerque. We actually had them come on down Miss Linda was actually, kind enough to lend us, Taos Middle School's, auxiliary gym so that they could be trained on the physical parts. So they're all level 2 certified, and this is, regulated by the New Mexico Regulations and Licensing Department, Private Investigation Advisory Board. They are the certifier. So we are now the proud, district who has their own certified staff. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of all of AJ and Natalie, Dominic and Diego and Esther.
I'm sorry, I want you to repeat that last part.
Which part? The regulation board?
Yeah,
Or
last,
proud of all?
last, we're all, I said the 20 staff are.
Certified. So they're certified through a 20-hour certification training by the New Mexico Regulations Board of Licensing. So which is under the Private Investigation Act of New Mexico. So they're the ones that anybody who's a certified security guard of any type in New Mexico has to go through that test. They have to go through the classes. We have those, every single one of them. So I'm very proud of them for doing that. So another thing I'm proud of, and see Mr. O'Gean's in here while I'm waiting for his turn. Diego got with Johnny, we met with Johnny, and our athletic director was able to come up with a schedule with Diego Trujillo, who schedules everything for security. We now have security at every sport, not just football, not just basketball. We're covering volleyball, we're covering soccer. Every sport that comes up that Mr. O'Gean has, he will have a security, certified security person there, as well as the law enforcement that we invite, of course. So I'm very happy with that. That's something we weren't able to accomplish last year, but we've been able to do it this year because we're growing. And the last part I wanted to share was going back to the cell phone thing. We did not have any of the incidences prior to that shared during class time or anything. And so if y'all watched the news and you saw, I believe it was Karakiwi,
yes, sir.
it was a wonderful look at the things that are happening inside of the high school and the middle school right now with the phone ban, or not the phone ban, but with the phone policy, excuse me. That for my department has already proven to help out quite a bit. So I'd like to thank all of you for approving that. I'd like to thank Dr. Lee for bringing that. And I know my staff was very excited about it because it's helped them out quite a bit. So for that, I'll stand with the questions.
So with our district being certified, all security staff, what is that in the state? Do you have those metrics?
Like if other people in the state.
Yeah, how many districts are fully
A
certified?
lot of districts do. Actually, most districts do. Most districts are fully staffed with security, certified security, guards and officers or SROs. Yeah, we're catching up still on that aspect. However, I will remind you that we still lead in a lot of things, to the point where last year we were in, or was it this year, last year? When we went out to the Safe School Summit as guest speakers on behalf of, the governor's office and the lieutenant governor's office, because they obviously feel like we're doing something right up here in Taos. And being certified, was just that next step. So I believe that most schools that I've interacted with through that conference, they've all taken the step, either prior to us or they had SRO, actual police forces in some cases. Las Lunas actually has a full-on police force that patrols their schools similar to APS. APS also has a police force. And I believe Rio Rancho is in the development or they're in the development of theirs. So it's coming, it's forthcoming in New Mexico at some point.
Yeah, we're a lot smaller,
Absolutely.
so it's a little different here. That's great.
Any questions or comments from Mr. Herrera?
No, just that I think that, the feedback that I've gotten as well, was a sense of security, the safety. Of course, we'll always have parents, who want their kids to have cell phones and want to know immediately. My sister being one, told me was I cannot get a hold of my son, like, I'm furious, but just, I think educating people on the process that you just explained to us and, the data that shows, that you guys weren't inundated with all of the that creates a sense of more security. And after I explained that process to my sister, she was like, okay, then I'll just wait to get an email, and she was more calm about it. But yeah, I think that safety is super important. We can't, take anything for granted that because we're a small town, it's not gonna happen here. So I just, really thankful for the security and the efforts being made to protect our schools and our kids.
And President Watts, and my comment to someone that brought up the cell phone issue is that it is our responsibility to keep the children safe. And you were able to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
And so that should send a message to the parents that's our responsibility and we did our job and you all did it well. Thank you so much. Extend that to your staff.
I will. Comments or questions?
President Flores, if I may, I just wanted to say a couple of thank yous, to town of Taos, going back to when the water was off at the Arroyos. We want to thank the town of Taos for providing us some porta potties, or portable restrooms, excuse me. We appreciate that because, you never know when we're in an emergency, situation. And the fact that we can come together with the community, really appreciate that as a representative of the district. I know KRQE did have an episode, that aired yesterday. I think it shows that our district, Taos Municipal Schools, is at the forefront and taking the lead in the state. But I also wanted to thank our security staff for ensuring that the kids were taken care of first. Our priority is always going to be making sure that our kids are taken care of safely and securely.
He's getting a standing ovation for it.
Okay, moving right along is JB IT and Communications, Mrs. Maria Jintet. All right.
So the first this time she's gonna be at the forefront instead of the.
I thought about it.
Good evening, President Flores, Vice President Spray, members of the board, Dr. Layton, colleagues and committee members. My name is Maria Jintet and I am the Director of IT and Communications. Tonight, I want to start off with our Meraki dashboard. Now, what this is it's a whole visual to the entire district network. So I'm going to take you here to, for example, to Ranchos. I can look at all my schools here. Taos High School has 34 switches, 68 access points. So this isn't, and then the list goes down. So our next biggest school is going to be Taos Middle School and so on. If you look here at the red, you're gonna see, our access points. That's how we're able to tell before anybody that what is offline. For example, I called Mr. O'Gean earlier this week. I told him, hey, I said, I don't think you have electricity down at the baseball field. And so he walked over there, he went and met me, and sure enough, there was no electricity. He got that back on, my system came back up. Now, what you guys see here is how can I tell where it's at? If you look right there, Ranchos, room number 17, my access point is offline. Taos Middle School, room B101, my access point is offline. Other than that, the network is up and running. What this shows me, the next slide, is all our clients that are on the network. So if you I know it's pretty small, but today I went ahead and I did a screenshot and I kept looking, so, oh my gosh, I have tons of cell phones on my network. What is going on? I have iPhone 15s, 14s, and then I remembered it was career day and we went ahead and we opened up the network for everybody. So a little bit, these are the faces, behind the scenes, I'm going to start off with the picture. We have Micah Bassi, who is from Sharp, Eric Zimmer, myself, and Michelle. Not pictured is Jonathan Naranjo. So, IT administrator, manages overall IT operations, system securities, and network performance. Our IT secretary provides and coordinates support requests and, handles our level 1 tech needs. You should see her with the students. The kids come in with the Chromebook, she power washes them, she resets, our Office 365 passwords, our Google passwords. So she kind of goes in and out of being secretary to level 1 technician, in my opinion. Then we have our on-site technicians, Eric over there, Jonathan. They provide our frontline support for all staff and students. Then we have our help desk remote support team, which is probably consists of 10 people. They sit at a knock that is not in New Mexico, and they offer online remote support to our staff. So they can chat, they can call in, and they will remote into our staff desktops. Network engineers, they ensure reliable internet connectivity and network services. Our security specialist focuses on cybersecurity, data protection, and policy enforcement. IT staff were responsible for the laptops, desktops, iPads, phones, copy machines, printers, software, apps, hotspots for all staff and students. So these are endpoint devices. Now, I'm just taking you to August. August is probably our busiest month. There was 467 tickets placed and 352 resolved. This is our August ticketing system. Now, Eric and Jonathan have been working really hard. We have 7 tickets open right now in the district. That's huge, a district our size. And I'm moving pretty fast because I have a lot to cover. So this takes me into the next piece where I want to talk about the communications and the security piece. So just give me a second to stop my screen share here. And do you have questions on that part before I move on to the website?
I have just one question. What is the name of this system and would you spell it for me?
Oh, Meraki. Oh, gosh. What is it, AKI?
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, here is our website page. So immediately, if you go into tellschools.org, you're gonna go ahead and see, right now we have a school board meeting that is happening. I think most of you that join online, I think they wait for me to put this alert on the page. It's easy for everybody to find. If you scroll down here, usually we want to go ahead, we're starting to put, obviously this month was Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. It was Suicide Prevention Month as well. Down here are the tools that are probably most used. This is for our students and staff to get into Canvas. This is access to our Office 365 email, PowerSchool access for students and parents, any job opportunities, and our school calendar and the online auction. One of the biggest pieces that we're constantly using is these news pieces here. So anything here in the news, you could see all past posts if you want to. Takes you, and usually what is here is also put on social media on our Facebook page. The next piece here is our live feed. So when I had Eric and Jonathan go ahead and they downloaded the Taos Schools app on your phone, this is the information that is coming from that live feed. So if you go into your Taos Schools app, you could see, the live posts that are coming in right away. You could see the events that are happening. So it's kind of mirrored to what is on the website that you could get directly to your phone on the app. Then we have this lovely picture, Miss Concha is missing. I don't know if you guys all seen that. And
You're there in spirit.
So this is the home page. I'm gonna go ahead and take you to, Taos Middle School. Each school is unique in the stuff that they want posted at their school sites. I'm gonna take you to probably the most, if you see right here, these are the events that are happening at Taos Middle School. The board talks about the board meeting, homecoming week. They're having an honor roll assembly, parent-teacher conferences, Veterans Day. Then you come down here and you could see also student of the month. So these are the unique things that each school can do different. Dr. Serna Mahmoud, I will get that video clip up on your page for you. But those are the different things that we can do with our website. Something that's new that we hadn't done before is we did an athletics page for Taos Middle School. High school has one, Taos Middle School has one. You could click here for the most current schedules. This one only has volleyball, but if you go into the high school page, you could choose volleyball, soccer, football, whatever you want. And then it changes, moving into the different areas. What else? You can change the website from English to Spanish. And view it in Spanish. There we go. You guys see how you could go ahead and change it? There's our principals, meet your principals. Still need to add a few photos, but it makes it so that both our English and our Spanish speaking families can go ahead and read the website. Okay, stand for questions on website. Any at this time?
I just want to comment that it's come a long way and you've done a lot of work. I really appreciate it. And I think it's very important to give access to our family through this instrument.
Thank you. Now I'm gonna take you guys to our social media page. I could do this probably full-time for the district, but you know, we wear many hats and you know, today, you know, it's National Daughters Day, post. Here's, I shared a link from, you know, our interview with Dr. Layton. Was it Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yesterday.
Yeah,
Just yesterday.
that's when you know the schools have made you crazy. So just trying to keep up to date and getting as much information out to our families, I think is huge. And trying to, and each school site does have their own social media page. So this is just the district. You could go into Taos Middle School, they have something completely different. Ranchos, every single site has their own page. Anything on the social media piece? You guys are quiet tonight with me. Then, okay.
Yeah, Maria, Mr. Gentet, I think it's great, just to, adhere to President, Mark said, you know, it shows we're engaged. I mean, we have things on Labor Day, 4th of July, school's not even in session, as someone's paying attention. That just shows, that's a reflection, like a restaurant. If they're sweeping outside, that means it's clean in the kitchen, you know? And so this is good. There's activity going on. Yeah.
Now, for the next part of my presentation, I'm gonna take my board into the classroom. So Jonathan, Eric, if you wanna go ahead and, before, we're gonna bring up, the student devices you guys approved in the springtime. There are Chromebooks. They're touchscreen. We ordered 1,500 of them. And I'm gonna take you, I'm gonna show you a teacher tool that Taos High School used, and I recently, last week, took this to our principal at Taos Middle School and vice principal as well. And so I want to go ahead and take you. Thank you. I want you guys to experience what it's like to have a device. We created all your accounts for you. Everything should be, let me go ahead and just share my screen here. 1 second. And
President,
they're touch screens, so you guys
Oh,
go ahead and, yeah, touch them,
Oh, you
touch them.
start doing everything?
And-
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thanks to mine, and on mine, the other one I used to watch, it didn't go anywhere. Oh, awesome.
Hold on. I'm just gonna show my screen if you guys can, hold on a second here.
so President Flores, while we're also waiting, members of the board, just to let you know, Ms. Gentet's new role this year is not only IT, but also communications. So going back to safety and security, she has been instrumental in making sure that we communicate to the public, especially when it comes to emergency situations.
Okay, so you're looking at, right now, this is House High School. I created you guys your own little school here. And this is us. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start a session. It's outside the school hours.
After school now.
No. I practiced all day long to show you, and I might have to bring, I'd have to troubleshoot this and bring this up at another time. So what this is I wanted to show you real time and that I could go ahead and control your devices straight from my side as a teacher. I could push out any URL address to you. I can, if you're taking a test, I can lock your screen so you're not opening up another browser to cheat. I can send you a chat message saying, you know, let's focus. I see that you're looking at something else. I could take you, one of the demonstrations I wanted to show you how, you know, pushing out the URL to a video. There's tons of different things that you could do with this program. And high school, Miranda Chavez, she's one of a huge power user there. In fact, now that we're down to 7 tickets, we could go ahead and load the rest of the high school because they're getting anxious. But this is a tool that they use in the classroom so that they can monitor the students daily in their classroom. And I really wish I could have showed you.
You could bring that back to us, Maria. I'd be interested in seeing that another time, so just maybe troubleshoot that and we can bring it back to the presentation. At a later date.
Okay,
Yeah, don't worry about it, but we definitely would like to see it.
yeah, it really.
I'd like to
cuts
see what
off.
Mr. King's up to on his.
Oh, and it takes screenshots, of what everyone's doing, the chats, it takes, Miss Linda, you thought it was pretty cool, didn't you? Yeah, in fact, it's okay. In fact, the first 20 minutes, we just got it for 20 minutes and she only had my aids on and we actually got a really disturbing, the kids were messaging back and forth to the chat room. And there was a really disturbing statement that was made where I had to pull in the little girl. It was the end of the day, I had to call parents. And that was just in 20 minutes of monitoring it. So I don't know if I want the teachers to have it yet, but because we've talked about teacher engagement and how we want them engaged with the kids. We don't want them sitting behind the computers monitoring this. But for right now, myself and Mr. Chavez will be able to monitor what's going on.
Thank you.
At this point, it's time for questions. I really thought it was gonna work.
It's fine, we'll go next time.
I promise to show you again.
Bring it back.
I was excited. I played with it all day. I had Eric and Jonathan. We practiced all day long and sorry, it just didn't work.
Must be the Wi-Fi.
No, it's not Wi-Fi. It's just, it's really good that the classroom cut us off so that
Oh, it's after hours?
it's after hours.
Oh,
Right.
So you can't engage with the students after hours.
Any comments or questions from Ms. Superintendent?
I like something that Ms. Martinez said. And that is, I think, again, you know how we're talking about student engagement and they're communicating with one another. We need teachers engaging with the students and the students back. That they know that that the teacher is as present as they're expected to be
And what's
in the
really,
classroom.
and what's really cool about this, so they're not, having to make the announcement, they can type in, say they're taking a test, 5 minutes left, 2 minutes left, close laptop. So these are the pieces, but yes, absolutely, the engagement with teachers and students is very
Because
important.
all of this is so excellent, but that it doesn't take away from that interaction of the teacher with the students.
Absolutely.
Ms. Conchetta, I just again want to comment. I think our IT department has come a long way since you started in your position. I've seen you educate yourself and improve, and you're such a big support to the board, to myself. Especially, I feel like I'm technologically challenged, for lack of better words, but you're always so helpful. And seeing your board reports from the amount of tickets that you get to how fast they're knocked out. I do recall, in previous years when we first started, getting more involved with technology, there were a lot of hiccups, and not to fault whoever was there. Having you on board is a big asset to the district, and very excited that you're part of our team and support everybody and not just the board. So,
Thank you. I'm blessed to be part of this team. Thank you.
thank you so much.
So do we get the GPS?
Thank you, Maria. We'll look forward to seeing that, or whenever,
I'll bring it back.
maybe at the next meeting, we could just do a quick presentation or something.
Oh, you guys will have fun playing with it. Trust me.
Okay, moving right along is item JC, academic programs, Mrs. Renetta Mondragon, Associate Superintendent.
Is it closer?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, President Flores, members of the board, Superintendent Layton. This will be a brief review of some of our academic updates that we've had so far in the last couple of weeks since I've been able to report out to you. One of the items that was requested that I report out to the board was our Ancianos program. And what that looks like for the school district. So we were able to reach out to Ancianos. Let's get tongue-tied with that word. They do have a process where teachers can recommend a grandparent to the principal. So it's really a teacher driven program. Principals then will make the recommendation to the superintendent. The superintendent will recommend for HR and HB, or to HR for their HB 128 and background check. And then HR will then contact the grandparents if they are clear to volunteer. The grandparents will contact the teacher with the recommendations, and this is the process that was given to us by Ancianos. Some of the barriers that we have seen and that we talked to Ancianos about is that there's been a real reduction in volunteers that want to come into the program, and that came about after COVID. There's a fear of illnesses for our elderly grandparents and going into the classroom and being exposed to illnesses with the children. We do have some protocols in place with our operations department and our custodians, where we have I can't remember what the tower is called, but there's a sanitation tower that the district had purchased with our ESSER fund. And the custodians are going to be using those in the classroom. So that's going to help with the sanitation. And we're hopeful that with the communication that we can have out to grandparents and our teachers going out and meeting grandparents and asking them to come in and volunteer in the classrooms, that there is an increase in grandparents that do want to participate in the program. But for right now, we do only have one that is available. The step boards administrators have been, oh, I'm sorry, that's okay. Administrators have been asked to meet with their teachers to offer this opportunity to teachers and see if they can reach out to their classroom grandparents and families to see if they want to volunteer. Community schools, our staff will also begin to support finding volunteers, grandparents, and provide them with contact information through channels and help them in beginning that process for volunteering in the classroom. Next slide. So we finally have our preliminary data, still not unembargoed. We're still under the embargo, and PED has not released it out into New Mexico vistas, but we did I want to say Monday.
It was just Monday.
Right, Monday, we just received all of our data, which we have been patiently waiting for. I will say, looking at our data, what we had initially looked at the beginning of the year when we were working with Dr. Layton and forming our WIGs and our lead measures, the district did come very close to what PED is providing us with our data. So you can see there that the entire district is at 43% in their proficiency rate. We had put it at 45, and again, I didn't put the numbers, so if I rounded up, we would be closer than that. Our proficiency rate for math was at 22%, and we had predicted it to be at 23%. Science is at 40% for the entire district, keeping in mind that we do not test all grade levels in science. Each school site is broken down, so Arroyo del Norte, which has been identified as one of the spotlight schools for NMPED, is at 42% for ELA, 34% for math, and 66% for science. Ranchos Elementary is 30% ELA, 17% for math, and 28% for science. Enos, 30% ELA, 12% math, 28% for science. Taos Middle School, 38% for ELA, 7% for math, 21% for science. Cyber, again, taking into consideration who tests for this assessment, it's kind of a hard predictor for us to say that it was only 50%, but we're looking at a very, very small population. Again, and going back to what I had spoken to the board about previously, as Dr. Layton had reached out to New Mexico Assessment Bureau, and they are looking at how they're going to make the determination for that small school site. Taos High School is 33% ELA and 7% for math, and science was at 43%. I think when we went in and we had spoken about this previously, our school sites were fully aware of where their scores were, so this isn't a surprise to us. And this is what they base their lead measures off of, and how they're going in to help support the classrooms, especially in the area of math, which you've heard from all of our administrators is a concern for them, and they are working on that to help improve it and increase those math scores. Are there any questions on our assessments? Next time that I do present, if you can go back real quick. Sorry. Next time that I do present, we will be breaking it down, disaggregating the data by our specialty populations. Next slide. Yesterday, we did finally have our attendance rates released. I wasn't able to tell Dr. Layton, he's been anxiously waiting for those attendance rates to be left out. So district overall absence rate is at 11.57%. So that means our present rate is at 88.43%. The district chronic absent rate is at 45.79%, keeping in mind that's out of that 11.57%. And not chronically absent is 54.21%. So I provided you a visual down there because I know I beat this drum a lot and I just want us to all keep that in mind that, we have our big pie and there's our present rate. Our absentee rate is that little slice that we took out. And then there's the chronically absent that they're looking in that little slice that they took out, and then the not chronically absent that's in that slice. So our attendance coaches and Ms. Martinez is working together with the school sites to come up with plans to help support our students. They will be finishing their attendance plans, which will be due to the state at mid-October. Any questions with attendance? And finally, go ahead.
How does our attendance compare with the state? Do we have any data that we could compare?
We don't have our state data out, and that's what's unfortunate is we do tend to look at our state data and say, okay, where are we scoring on this one? We want to know that, we haven't received it, Wisconsin. As soon as we do, you will upload them, I guarantee you. We are very competitive, as you know. Next slide, Maria. So our SEL program and restorative justice program, there's a request for what we're providing in the school district. The district utilizes the CASEL framework for social and emotional learning. We have site level supports using SEL champions to provide adult trainings for staff and provide strategies to be utilized in the classroom. So we start with the teachers and then move it to the students. We also, I've been there for the past 2 Fridays and have run into the EQ classes at the high school. They're being student led, which is wonderful to see that they're supporting each other with those resources. We're building a culture of care with self-awareness, self-management, and responsible decision-making. And one of the avenues that we're seeking is restorative justice. We have a building district level team to identify and address student and family needs. We're addressing discipline policies and tracking area of incidents so that we can provide supports to our classrooms and to our students. The whole goal of our restorative justice program is to keep students engaged and motivated in their learning and keep them in school. We don't want them out of school missing that, first of all, it affects our attendance rate, but most importantly, it affects what the students are learning. And most of the time, as we all know, for our students in the community, it's important for them to be in a safe, organized environment instead of being out in some of the areas that, they're not as safe as. We're building community and school level connections and increasing resources for all students, families, and staff. So I've tasked the restorative justice team, which is led again by Ms. Martinez, that we do meet bi-weekly, and we're identifying areas of need and then addressing those items. The first area that we identified is our discipline policy and how that's affecting our students. They did come up with a fabulous rubric that we're going to hopefully present to our principals tomorrow, and then be able to, we're hoping, roll it out to the entire district. And I want to commend the middle school for putting that rubric together. It was very clear and organized. I think it clarifies for our teachers and for the students and parents, what direction or what steps that they need to take and how we're going to be supporting their students. With that, I stand for questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, I'm just curious as far as the discipline policy, which I think is great using the restorative justice model. Does that include the review of say suspensions and how they are integrated back into the school after that suspension?
Absolutely. That is one of the items that we're looking at. And we did have Ms. Anita Rodriguez meet with us our last restorative meeting, and she went over how the mid school is re-entering students into the school site and the success that they've seen with their students. So that's a big concern with us. We do have our special populations and our directors involved in this as well, because we want to hear their feedback on how we're addressing those populations. So it's not just a one size fits all. It's what are the needs of each of those individual groups and how can we help support them?
Well, thank you. I look forward to seeing that.
Any further questions or comments? I just have a comment. I got here late to the last board meeting where we went over our scores. And I know we're all working on those scores, but it is concerning to see kind of where they're at right now, and I just wanna let staff know we're here to support them. I know it's tough to see those scores. We've all been working hard. I think COVID had a big impact on what we're seeing today. But I just wanna let staff know that we appreciate all their hard work and everything that they're working to do to improve those scores. I wasn't able to really comment much at that last meeting because I wasn't present, but I just need to make my voice heard that it is concerning, but that we do support you all in your hard work. So
President Flores, I appreciate that statement, and it is concerning to all of us where, you know, every administrator, when they saw those math scores, were very upset about it and concerned, and were immediately digging into how they can help support their students and start moving those scores up to where they need to be. Dr. Layton does have a plan, which I am not going to say yet because he's going to roll it out after a little while when we get a little more planning going on. But it's in the expectation that it is going to start supporting our students and helping support the school sites that have some of those lowest scores.
I know from working with the board for as long as we have, that we all support you guys in your endeavors, and if we could do anything, just to let Superintendent A know, follow the chain of command. I support you.
It's been wonderful to have his support and really that drive towards academics and looking what we can do. We do have a training next week for fourth and fifth graders, and you know, he's really been supportive about our administrators being able to participate in those trainings as well. So that's, you know, those are the first steps that we take towards changing those scores. Those were the first steps that we took towards changing our ELA scores and moving them in a positive direction.
Thank you for your presentation.
If I could add something up, President Flores, if I could back up a little bit to the Ancianos program that you mentioned, I think that's a very important program to have as far as, you know, the discussion on culture's prevention. Grandparents do offer a different sense of security, compassion, empathy, especially with the younger generations. What are we doing like to protect our grandparents that do volunteer? Like, you know, anything, whether it be like sickness, illness, or fall, anything like that. How are we ensuring, how are we letting them know that we're demonstrators?
So that'll be a part of our community schools, a coordinator's task, and to put together a flyer for them so that they're aware of what we do have in place, like the devices that do go in and sanitize the areas, that we do have custodial that is keeping areas clean. We do have protocols for students who are sick or ill, and that they also, you know, have the opportunity to not participate on a day that they feel like there's too much illness going on in school. We can also add, now that I'm thinking about what your question is, and we will add this, is letting them know the high times when we do have high incidence of illnesses. You know, we can kind of track that as a school district. It always hits us around December. There we go, where we've got it in the end of January, February, we have some more sicknesses that are going around. So communicating that with them and, you know, allowing them that opportunity to step back from participating, but come back into the school when the illnesses have slowed down.
And then like, as far as like incidents, like a student were to like, you know, accidentally fall on a falter or they got hurt, how are we covering that?
So we do have nurses at all of our, nurses at some of our school sites, and then we have medical assistants at our other school sites. And our nurses are on call. So if there is an incident, we can attend to them immediately. But really, this is a conversation that when we do bring in one of our grandparents or elderly members of the community, is to have that conversation with our students that, you know, here's how we are respectful of who is in the classroom and how we watch ourselves and how we can engage with them.
With our technology presentation, Ms. Gentet and Board Member Concha talking about germs and you know, I think the Rotary Club was reading, was it Zoom? Was it by Zoom, the Rotary Club's reading students?
They were.
I mean, I hate that, like, put a machine, but if you have, you know, half of it, I know we attend meetings in Zoom.
Yeah,
If, you know, there's none like a smiley face, you know, we have our phones, you know, when you're at home. Maybe that's a way to have more, ancianos, seniors volunteer. The kids can at least have that reading one-on-one, whatever it may be, you know, math, but just something to think about.
yeah, that's a great idea for us to connect them and help them to stay connected into the.
I think about Grandma Ruby, that's Diego Trujillo's grandma.
Yes.
Yeah, because she was always there, like a rain or shine.
She
was
was.
always there, and, you know, you're always worried about her, and, you know, her health and everything like that, so.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just
And
asking.
I think that's been a great part of the program is that the community of the school really embraces them and see them as one of their grandmas. And so they want to take care of them just like they would take care of their own grandparents.
And there's no substitute for a hug. We all know
No,
that.
there isn't.
A smile is
Right.
consolation.
Chris, Mark,
Thank you.
what I'd like to say is that, you know, just hearing all the reporting and just, you know, again, hearing all the statistics and all the numbers and the life that you all bring to us from the schools. It's just so rewarding. I'm just like, yes, yes, it just feels so good that to be a part. And this was all a new experience for me. And to me, I've just, this is my second term and I just, excuse me, I'm just embrace it so readily. I just love it. I thank you guys so much. And just because you have no idea how rewarding it is to just accept the responsibility that we do have. But you are the ones in the forefront. And you're telling us a story, a beautiful story of your love for the children and your love for life in itself that is brought and nurtured in the schools, in every classroom, in every life, the life of these children, because it's life-changing. And thank you all so much. And I wish they were all, everybody was here to hear that, but even the children, if that could be relayed to the children, that would be so wonderful from us.
Absolutely, and thank you for that. We do appreciate that. I'll speak on behalf of my colleagues. It is wonderful to have that support of the board and our superintendent.
Thank you, Secretary Drew. Thank you, Ms. Montgomery, appreciate that. At this time, I would like to go ahead and make a motion to amend the agenda to move items I, the consent agenda, and item K, a new business, in front of items H and J, to be mindful of staff's time in attendance tonight. So I'd like to go ahead and make that motion. Can I get a second? Second. Have a second from Vice President Cynthia. We get a roll call, please.
Board Member Concha,
Yes.
Board Member King,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Vice President Spray,
Yes.
President Flores.
Yeah, so at this time, we're gonna move to the consent agenda. We have item A of the consent agenda is revisions to Taos Municipal Schools calendar for school year 2024-2025. Calendar committee representative is Carla Martinez. And cyber magnet principal Lynn Brasher.
Can we take a 2-minute break? We take like a 2-minute break.
Yeah, well, I guess, request for a 2-minute break.
Yeah.
Okay, take it.
Better to stand, I've been doing too much. So I'm fine with that.
No, it's right. No, I should have.
How are you doing? Good. So, we are on item A of consent agenda, a revision to the Towson Public Schools calendar for school year 2024-2025. Mrs. Martinez.
President Bonas, members of the board, Superintendent Layton, the school board or the school district calendar committee, was reconvened to address some concerns about changes in the calendar for the fall semester. And the proposed changes include moving the virtual day from October 24th, which is a practice virtual day for teachers to practice teaching via our learning management system, which is Canvas, in case we need to have a snow day or there's some other emergency where students are not able to come on site, so that we're not preventing education to continue. So that's what the virtual day is for. There was also a request to allow our elementary students to leave school a little bit early, and our secondary as well, on Halloween, so that they could participate in, you know, all of the fun activities throughout the community. The calendar committee went ahead and voted to move our virtual day from October 24th to November 4th. Putting it between our November 1st no school day, and then our November 5th no school day, which is due to elections. And so that would give our teachers the opportunity to practice virtual learning with their students and ensure that we have everything in place should we need to call a virtual day for a snow day or whatever. And then they also voted to have an hour release, early release for all of our school sites. We can't do anything more than 1 hour, otherwise that school day is no longer counted as a full day because of state statute. And so we can release 1 hour, but we can't do like a half day like we used to. The rules and regulations from the state did change over this last year. And so to comply with that and not have to add another day, which would then also get into some contractual issues with our union, we're releasing 1 hour. And so the proposed changes are the virtual day moving from October 24th to November 4th, and then the early release on October 31st for Halloween.
Board have any questions or comments?
I just think they'll take the hour. No one's gonna complain getting out an hour early.
Good.
It was a good compromise to provide extra time for the families, because it does get dark and they do want to take the kids trick or treating.
Yeah.
But also some concerns from our school sites, because they had already planned their fall festivals for Halloween. So if we had canceled that school day, that would have impacted a lot of the activities that had been planned. And so it was a good compromise, and the committee voted unanimously to support the change. So that is the proposal and before you for approval.
Anybody on the board like to make a motion for approval?
I make a motion for approval to revise the school calendar as presented by Ms. Carla Martinez.
And we got a motion for approval from Board Member Concha and a second from Vice President Cynthia. Call for roll.
Board Member Concha,
Yes.
Board Member King,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo.
Yes.
Vice President Spray.
Yes.
President Flores.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Ms. Martinez.
Thank
Okay, items B and C are some athletic requests for discussion, review, and approval of itemized donations. We'll go ahead and allow Mr. Johnny O'Gean, our athletics director, to address both items B and C. Item B will be donations received for the Taos Athletics from the Taos Sports Alliance in the amount of $2,500. And item C is donations received for Taos Athletics from the New Mexico YAPL in the amount of $1,800. Mr. Johnny O'Gean.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been able to funnel most of our money through boosters and through fundraising, so we've only had a couple donations that were actually cash or checks, but it comes in sporadically. So more the win, the more money I'm being given, seems like.
That's good to hear. I just have one question. Is there any thought as to how the money will be utilized?
Mostly it's been nutrition's been taking most of our money. So we're having a hard time feeding our athletes on the road, and we're having a hard time feeding them before games. And so a lot of that's been done with that, and snacks on the way to long trips. Like this week we're going to Bloomfield, so we had some donations that went into sandwiches and stuff like that for them on the buses. And then we're averaging about $300 to $500 after every game for 50 to 60 athletes that are on the team and coaches.
Yes, so excuse me, Superintendent, do we have a recommendation?
Board President, Flores and members of the board, I recommend that, we approve the itemized donations, from Cal Sports Alliance in the amount of 2,500 and from Cal's Athletics, from Yonville, excuse me, for 1,800 as presented by Coach Odie.
I just have a question. And that is, isn't that need met through the program itself?
I think at one time it was, ma'am, but for some, before my time here, I think it was something that was not given to athletes anymore, or it's like, I don't exactly know the history of it.
And I think that in one of the presentations that we had some time ago, it was brought up. And that a lot of times, some athletes, some parents give the athletes money, when they're gonna go on these trips, but some don't have any money.
Exactly.
And so, and I thought, well, how could we change that? That there should be budget. What about the nutritional program?
That's something we're exploring. I know there's also a bond or a grant that's been implemented for 2.5 million that has a nutritional aspect to it. And so I've been hoping to get a hold of that. I just haven't had the opportunity to dig in a little bit more.
I think that would just be really, really work. And that way the needs of the athletes are met. And that's a burden off of you all. That to be thinking about how am I gonna feed these kids that are so hungry all the time?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
What we're looking.
Yeah, I haven't played as a kid and in college. And you can help us. Cause it's we used to go when we were varsities, we went to, this is a larger community. They had a Ponderosa and we had steak, potatoes and salad. And every game, every home game, all the games. And the kids, if there's a way to incorporate the nutrition in this component, because those kids play hard. I've had a chance to attend the games and you're right. But if there's a way to work it, obviously, I don't know if we can get ahead of the curve, but somehow having the nutrition component, because you guys are traveling. Some communities have a place that they, I don't know if we can, you guys have your schedule made up. Hey, you're gonna go to this restaurant. Can you help us out with the discount? And then you come to us, okay, there's 5 games on the road. This is where we're gonna go. We can talk about trying to get a set menu, price, and, as in regards to board member Trujillo, so no kid is without, they can, they play their heart out. Even if they didn't play, they shouted their heart out that they can eat, go home and actually go to sleep with a full belly. Cause it's a reflection of our district, our community. And we're gonna be, superintendent and I are gonna be talking about we've kind of bounced some ideas around that we can try to have going to the district where things aren't being funneled off for us overhead, so, hey, because there's people who will help out. I know they will say, hey, you know what, this kid needs to, and they all need to eat. I don't know what it, whatever you guys, what, if it's Subway, but whatever they can have, chips, a pop, a cookie, everyone.
Sugar, no Coke, so. Honestly, it's a training table. It's what you
Exactly.
call it, college where you come in, but I don't want it just to be for one sport. I'd like every home team to have that ability to have that home feeling of being coached, and parents step up and they do a great job for us. And on the road, I think we can, it's a little less expensive on the road just because we're training on coming right back. Sometimes it's quick meals, but if you really want to be technical, it would be, for instance, tomorrow we'll have a dinner of spaghetti and whatnot. On a Thursday night where we feed 60 kids, the parents step up and do it. But that next day on Friday, it will be a protein-based meal because it takes a lot longer for that protein to be digested and broken down. So you don't get hungry in the middle of the game. And, that sugar it's a fake
it's fake, right?
Yeah.
It just has cause a lot of problems with diabetes and things like that as they get older, so you can curb that right away, that helps in their life as a human being.
Yeah, everyone had a steak, potato, salad. And, you know, pop, and that was just a given. If you're on the varsity, that was a given. And we had, you know, 40, 50, it was a different district, different state, but you know, the kids are participating, they're showing, it's all community team building. This is what we want, you know, part of society. We have to all work together.
And it'll contribute to wins and injuries. It'll help limit injuries and wins, and at the end of the day, you're not gonna pay for all these medical bills. And you're gonna have a lot more cognitive ability, especially if to come back with school. So there's a lot of great things that can happen from it.
Now, this is something, I know this is your first year, but let's work on that. So, because we're passing, you know, millions of dollars, and if the kids are participating. And in regard to board member Spray, she talked about, because the hockey is not sanctioned, but football is, you know, the other sports, we know the top three. So let's try to work this. So, you know, this is something that is not a hole in the donut.
So President Flores, if I may, and members of the board, I know it's Coach Olguin's a busy time of the year, but like any other program, we are gonna be reviewing our budgets to ensure that we do allocate the funds necessary for proper.
Yeah. Just whatever it may be, you know.
It may or may not be filet mignon, but it will be a proper meal.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely.
it was a little, whatever, in regards to sirloin steak, you know, but everyone got one. And, you know, whatever, how you liked it, and everyone ate, you know.
In a perfect world, would be hell. I know that we can't always do that.
Well, again, I think that, Coach knows exactly what kind of meals will sustain this kind of activity and energy that these kids need, and they'll feel that they were taken care of too.
I agree.
They're not gonna go home hungry.
And get more kids out. You know,
I was gonna say that, the kids, some don't join because they think they're gonna have those barriers of not,
Yeah.
right? The
I can't afford.
transportation, the support, all of that, and so rather than create anything for a hardship for their families, they won't join, and I think that's something super important is to, try to eliminate those barriers as much as possible and encourage kids, to go out for the team despite, whatever insecurities they might have, and just builds confidence. And I never thought of it in that concept of, like how to feed them with the protein and things like that, and we have like a full nutrition plan. It does, take them far, and even developing good eating habits and, taking care of themselves and their bodies and all of that. So I really like that whole concept.
Yeah.
they're resilient individuals I've seen. I come from college, you would never expect that, but they never complain. They don't ever say anything, but if you're sitting there in the bus and there's one kid that can't eat, I can't live like that, so we're gonna make sure we feed them all, especially when we travel.
And that they're all eating the same thing.
Yeah, well,
Because it comes to this, I can afford this, and what can this child afford?
right.
It comes to this inequality, and so if this works, let's do it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olguin, for the presentation. We have a recommendation from the superintendent. You entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
So we have a motion to approve items B and C as presented with the recommendation from the superintendent and a second from Secretary Trujillo. Call for the roll.
Board Member Concha,
Yes.
Board Member King,
Yes.
Secretary Trio,
Yes.
Vice President Sprague,
Yes.
President Flores.
Yes. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Okay,
Travel
that
safely.
takes us to item new business as amended on the agenda. Item A of new business is discussion, consideration, and possible approval of state bilingual multicultural education program annual progress report 2023-2024. Mrs. Melissa Eager, Director of Equity and Federal Programs.
President Flores, members of the board, Dr. Layton, community members. I have before you the annual report for the bilingual multicultural education program. It reports the achievement of our multilingual learners and talks about the professional development provided to all of our staff. I want to highlight that we have the K-12 program that supports learning Spanish at all of our district schools. We have heritage models in at Arroyos, at Ranchos, Taos Middle School, and Taos High School. And we have dual language at Enos Garcia. We also have a TLO language program that runs K-12. It starts at Enos, goes to Taos Middle School and Taos High School. All of our district staff are trained yearly in ways to support our multilingual learners. And our bilingual staff receives additional professional development. Some of those opportunities include La Cosecha, Namabe, and just this summer, the middle school and high school Spanish departments were able to have a vertical alignment meeting. I stand for questions.
Questions or comments? Superintendent, do you have a recommendation for approval on item A? Approval of the state bilingual multicultural education program annual progress report.
So President Flores, members of the board, I recommend approval of the state bilingual multicultural education program annual progress report for the 23-24 year. As presented by Ms. Huger.
So moved.
I'll second. We have a motion of approval.
Board Member Quinshot? Yes. Board Member, yes. Board Member King?
Yes.
Secretary Trio?
Yes.
Vice President Sprague?
Yes.
President Flores?
Yes. Thank you, Seeker.
Thank you.
Item D of new business, discussion, consideration, and possible approval of the American Rescue Plan Homeless Children and Youth Grant, $48,284 for a Tillery Chevrolet GMC, from Tillery Chevrolet GMC Incorporated for a 2024 Chevrolet Silverado 2500 CK20903 four-wheel drive, regular cab, I believe, white.
President Flores, members of the board, Superintendent Layton. Yes, this is a truck that we're looking to purchase for our homeless program. It's also gonna help out with our district because the district was willing to pitch in the additional funds that we didn't have, so that about 15,000 the district is going to be pitching in. We're utilizing this truck to help our homeless families when they're moving. So moving of furniture or taking them supplies that may be needed. It's also going to be utilized when we purchase our mobile washer and dryer unit, of which now, because we have a truck that's going to be dedicated to it, we can start looking into the purchase of that for our families in the community. With that, I stand for questions.
Questions or comments from Ms. Montecor?
I have a question. Thank you. When it's not in use, what's gonna be happening with it?
It is also going to be used by the district, by our operations side. So if there's anything that the district needs, they'll be utilizing it. But our hope is that for the majority of the time, it is going to be utilized for our families and the moving of that washer and dryer system, because that is a need with our community, a weekly need that we see with the families.
One last question. Who's overseeing the homeless, the families? That friends, Florence?
Florence,
Thanks.
yes.
I actually saw her shopping last night late. It was like 9 o'clock and they were getting all of their equipment and everything like they were loading it, and she was very grateful to have the use of the vehicle, the Suburban, and she was telling me that she's like thanking the board, wanting me to pass that along, and then yeah, they're excited to be able to offer a little bit more support, like as far as the vehicle, which is huge, you know. I know like the homeless population is something that a lot of people don't think about, and so they're already in action and doing work, and so yeah, they were out and about.
Board Member Cocha, thank you for recognizing that, and I would like to recognize our
community school coordinators and Ms. Florence Mira. They did go out yesterday and we had a deadline with finance that we needed to purchase everything by last night at 12 o'clock midnight. So they were out purchasing much needed items for these families, sanitary supplies, cards for them if they needed washer and dryer services until we get ours, clothing for them, summer clothing and winter clothing, and we're storing that at all of the school sites in the community school sites. So it was nice that she could actually stock up more than what we have been able to in the past. And the need to move furniture for families like bedding or dressers, taking sleeping bags to them and clothing has been a need that we've had in the district. We usually have to try to reach out and coordinate with a community member and see who can provide the truck and when they can provide it. This was something that we presented to NMPED, and when they heard that we were gonna purchase this vehicle, they were like, take it, do it right away, we're approved. I mean, this was the shortest approval that I've ever received, so they're excited about this as well.
Thank you.
So does this have a hydraulic on
No, this one does not.
it? Okay.
Yeah, that would have been an additional cost. So we were just looking for a four-wheel drive that, we would be able to take it to Arroyos or, around the community where we could park it so that families could use it.
Right. Good.
Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, sir. And before I make the recommendation, I just want to commend the cabinet for the communication, because it went from our finance to say we need to spend it, to our academics, curriculum instruction, to let's get it spent, to our boots on the ground to go get it spent, like the way Member Concha mentioned. So I want to commend our staff for ensuring that this specific group of kids are being serviced in many ways than just buying things. Now it's being able to provide that transportation for them in the time of need. So, President Flores, I do recommend new business KB, where KB for the Tillery Chevrolet in the amount of $48,284 for the 2024 Chevrolet Silverado as presented by Associate Superintendent Renata Maduro.
Would like to entertain a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
We have a motion for approval from the Board of Concha and a second by Vice President Sprague. Call for the roll.
Board Member Concha?
Yes.
Board Member King?
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo?
Yes.
Vice President Sprague?
Yes.
President Flores?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, item C of new business is discussion, review, and approval of funds received by Taos High School's faculty from Lowell Foundation for programming in the amount of $1,800 for a food center at Taos High School Vocational Building. To be presented by Victoria Santisteban, our district grant coordinator.
Thank you. Good evening, President Flores, members of the board, Dr. Layton, Ms. Rael, Ms. Conchette, those in attendance. It is my absolute honor to still be able to continue serving my district. And as you all know, I have transitioned from community schools coordinator to grant coordinator. So I'll work closely with Finance Director Maestas, Associate Superintendent Mondragon, and Superintendent Layton, and just putting some, start some structure and around our grant protocols. So I'm looking forward to putting that into effect. And we are very fortunate in Taos to have such amazing and generous foundations that are so dedicated to our children. And one of them is, of course, the Lohr Foundation. And so you have in front of you a ask that Taos High School has made. There's two. So the first is the $1,200 ask. And this is for a food center in the vocational career tech building. Because it is quite a walk for the students to get to the main building. And so the Mr. Tyndall, who was the instructor at Taos High, and he's also with EQ, saw that there was a need to just set up some type of, like a commissary, a small kitchen there in the Voc Tech building so that the students can have access to some food while they're working in that particular part of the high school. So with that being said, I don't have all of the details on that. I apologize. This actually happened a little before I came into the position, but if you have any questions,
Yes.
thank you.
Mark, you said 1,200,
Yes, ma'am.
the paperwork says
Then
1,800,
I
doesn't
believe it's
matter,
18,
but
yes.
I just wanted to.
Yes,
double
my
check.
apologies,
Okay,
yes, ma'am.
thank you, no problem, you don't have to apologize
Okay.
at all.
I think it's a great initiative. Definitely want to keep our students fed. And give them access to food. Any questions or comments from the board? No. Superintendent Leon, do we have a recommendation for item C? Approval of $1,800 for a food center at the vocational building?
President Flores, yes, I recommend as presented by our new district grant coordinator, Ms. Victoria Santiesteban, excuse me, in the amount of $1,800 for the food center at our THS or high school vocational building.
With that recommendation, I'll make a motion for approval. For the amount of $1,800 for a food center at Taos High School vocational building as presented.
Second.
I have a second from Vice President Cynthia, call for the roll, please.
Board Member Concha?
Yes.
Board Member King?
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo?
Yes.
Vice President Spray?
Yes.
President Flores?
Yes. And item D of new business is discussion and review and approval of funds received by Taos High School's faculty from Lore Foundation for programming in the amount of $800 for bike tech certification for the mountain bike class. Ms. Santiesteban.
So this request was made by Mr. Boder, who is an instructor at Taos High School as well. And he is running a very cool program at the high school, which is a bike technician program. And I believe there was some other funding involved with this as well. So the funding that he has requested is for the certifications that the students will be receiving. And it's my understanding that it was a hefty certification price. And so a lot of as Member Concha said earlier, we don't want to discourage students from participating in programs because of lack of resources. So Mr. Boder recognized this and has asked the Lore Foundation, and they've been very generous in approving this request. And so the students will be able to get their actual bike tech certifications.
Second, thank you. What was the name of the teacher?
Jimmy Loader.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions, comments from the board?
Is this program with Flex Friday?
I think
it's an actual
Yeah, I think it's a class.
Oh,
And
it's
I-
It's like a vocational class?
Right, and I have seen it, I've been in the classroom and I didn't really even know about the program, it's amazing. So they have all of the bikes set up, then the students are able to do the, work on them, doing the tuning up and tightening up the chains and whatnot. It's a very interesting program.
It started last week.
Mhm.
And Loader's the, woodwork.
So are they working on because there's a mountain bike club too, right?
That's separate, like the mountain bike club for Fit does a mountain bike team.
Right, so are they working on their bikes? Can you take a bike too?
Now, it has nothing to do with the team.
I don't think so.
So they're just working on bikes, just to learn the trade.
Yes.
Mrs. Boder.
Board Member King, this was a program that was started by Taos Ski Valley. It was in partnership with them. This is a career path that we're looking at for students. And so they provided the initial funding for the school district to start the class at Taos High School. Mr. Boder did take it on. There's some additional fees that are needed for the class, but the hope is that students will have a job at the Ski Valley during the summer months, knowing how to fix the bikes.
That's great.
Thank you, Ms. Monteverde.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Superintendent Lane, do you have a recommendation?
President Flores, members of the board, I recommend that KD recommendation of funds received by the faculty from the Lore Foundation for programming in the amount of $800 for the bike tech certification as presented by District Grant Coordinator Victoria Santiesteban.
I'll make the motion for approval, as presented.
Second.
Second from Vice President Cynthia.
Board Member Concha?
Yes.
Board Member King?
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo?
Yes.
Vice President Spray?
Yes.
President Flores?
Yes. And real quick, I want to congratulate you on your move to your new position. That coordinated position, something that's been talked about for some time, and I think it's very well needed within the district, and takes a little bit of the weight off teachers and puts it on you. I know you can take that heavy lift and move it.
That
So
is huge.
We're looking forward to it. Thank you.
thank you. And if you could just thank the Roar Foundation on behalf of the board and Superintendent Lane. I also failed to make mention that we also need to thank the Taos Sports Alliance and the New Mexico YAFL for their donations as well. So if you could send a thank you letter to anybody that donates to the district, I think it'd be a good practice. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Good night.
To appreciate it.
So that takes us to the superintendent report. Superintendent Dr. Antonio Lincoln Jr. Item, and I'll let you take over.
So, President, members of the board, so as part of my superintendent's report for today's regular board meeting, I thought it prudent to bring an update to our district attendance. And so, you have a copy there in front of you, and I'm so glad to hear we finally received our attendance. I mean, we've been waiting for this for a while. But, Mr. Lieutenant, if you can move to the next slide. So what you see in front of you is the average weekly attendance per week for the first 6 weeks. And so as you can see, we started out at 95, went to week 2 at 92, week 3 91, week 4 89, and week 5 85, which I can safely say attributes to those 2 incidents that we did experience. Week 6, of course, the 90% as far as the attendance. What I'd like to say is now knowing that the attendance last year overall was at 88%, 88.43. That means as of this past week, as a district, and I'll give you the overall average, we are currently at 90%. So that means we've actually increased by 1.57% or approximately 2%. And so as part of my regular reports, every 6 weeks, I know we do quarterly, but I'd like to do it every 6 weeks, which allows us the opportunity to do 3 times per semester to report at least what our attendance is. This report will be shared with our campus principals tomorrow and our cabinet so that we can continue seeing what steps we can take to increase our attendance on a weekly basis. And that way we know that, we all know that if the kids are in class, that means they're learning. And so I thought it prudent to report to you as a board, what as a district our weekly attendance is.
Thank you, Superintendent. Does the board have any questions for, you had some other slides in here, did you want?
Correct, but I stand for any questions from the attendance.
No, thank you.
Okay, the next slide, President Flores and members of the board, is our district enrollment. What I did here was provide to you, our enrollment as in a comparison for 3 years. So back in 22, we had 1869. In 23-24, we had 1832. And as of this past week, we have 1782. So you can see that there is a trend downward in enrollment. So these numbers I have asked our Ms. Carla Martinez to provide that for us, because I want to discuss with our team, district and campus, what steps are we going to be taking to address our declining enrollment and see what we can do to increase our enrollment.
President Forrest?
Please.
This mimics exactly what Doug Patterson gave us. Remember that report that he gave us about the buildings in the future and what we had to plan for it? This mimics it exactly. Someone should call Doug and say he was right for the first. He was right. It's so amazing to me that it was correct. So on the spot.
Well, and Vice President Spring, President Flores, if I may, a special note, and this goes to staffing. If we look at week 6 for the campuses, just to look at the enrollment, look at Enos enrollment. Right now, we're at 347. But if you compare that to the middle school, we're actually at Haven Elementary that is 3 students more than an entire middle school.
Yeah.
And so that's very key and crucial when we review staffing. Are we appropriately staffing our schools when they're asking for more help?
Right.
And so We are gonna be receiving regularly enrollment reports so that we can ensure that our sites, campuses are receiving the appropriate staffing, even if we have to shift within the district. But the point being is that we know the enrollment count so that we can make those informed decisions.
I could, ask for, make a statement, I don't know if it's a question here. Is there any like evidence to determine if the decline is based on disconnection rates, like saying like kids dropping out or kids, you know, or is it like age population demographics, like, okay, we had a class graduate last year and then the upcoming ones, maybe their class wasn't as big, or, you know, like any of that, is there any correlation or?
Well, and I'm glad you asked that, Member Concha, because one of the things I also tasked Carla Martinez, our principal, but also our data guru, is tracking. And so one of the forms that we are finalizing is generate where our students are leaving. So as they are leaving, they're going to give us indications of why they are leaving, where they're leaving to. Is it a different district? Is for what reasons? And so that way we're able to track this data and provide that information. That helps us target our communications and say, this is what we need to provide our schools, or this is how we need to promote our district when it comes to our enrollment and if and why our students leave.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions in regards to our enrollment? I do find it kind of odd. I think the population of Taos is growing, but yet our student enrollment at Taos Municipal Schools is declining. We do have some charter schools, but over the course of the last couple of years, we haven't had any new charter schools, but I wonder if their enrollment is growing and ours is decreasing. But thank you for that presentation. Moving right along to the next one.
That would be, I said to Mark, that would be interesting to find out if, are they going to charter schools? Or what's happening to them?
And that's precisely why I asked for this data, so we can start to review as to what is the cause. Are they leaving our district for local charters? Are they leaving the state, or are they just not coming back to school? And this is, but to know what to address, first we need to know where the numbers are. And these are the numbers.
No, thank you. But also it's what Mark noted. Are the people that are moving to Taos, are they bringing children? Or are they retirement people? Or what class of people are moving to Taos? And again,
and maybe that's what I can reach out to the town and the county to find out what demographics are moving here.
yeah.
One thing, what comment?
Well, I can tell you, yeah, they're all, well, some people have kids. Second home people, so they live somewhere else. And then there's the older people who are retiring here who have no kids. So you buy a second home, you live somewhere else. You come here to have fun. You ski, you know, they live in Santa Fe, they live in Albuquerque. Their kids go somewhere else, but the home sales has gone up, but then you have a lot of retirees, St. James, Rotary. These people they finally get to move to Paradise, you know, and they're here for, yeah.
We don't know.
Well, why do people leave here? Because they can't make a living. Yeah, our career base is, I mean, you guys, it's only so many, you know, we're a small town. You know, schools, you get attrition, how many people retire, the teachers coming up. But most of the people are second homeowners and retired people. That's your bulk.
So Member King, so as we look at the data, this is how, as a team, we're gonna collectively see how can we approach the declining enrollment and to see if there's anything that we can be out there to promote and say, let's come back here. There's a reason to. Now, I will say the KRQ key, I know I don't want to beat that part, but the KRQE, I say the episode, or I don't know what you want to call it. Interview. That was part of what we want to send out there, that there's reasons to be here at Taos Municipal Schools and bring your kids here. And so that's only one component, but we are going to generate a targeted plan specifically to see what we can do to reverse the declining enrollment.
I think,
Go ahead, Board Member King.
no, I think we know that, you know, from last year is filling the vacancies, and we're doing that, and you've addressed it, HR is addressing it. We do affordable housing, I think we're gonna invariably help ourselves. It's gonna be like, hey, there's a certified teacher who's teaching algebra, science, sped, and they have a place to stay that's clean, you know, efficient, and they can come here. You know, they don't have to live here forever, 4 or 5 years, have fun, and then they can, you know.
Well, I remember, King, I mean, I just got here, this is actually starting my 5th month, but the idea of living here forever is, you know, catching on.
The weather.
Vice President Smith.
Thank you.
Only you haven't
Gloria.
experienced the beautiful fall and the winter.
Maybe there's some skis.
Vice President Spray has a comment.
I just wanted to say, I shop as I think 38 years old maybe, and over the years, many times people have said, I can't even begin to tell you how many times people have said to me, who are professionals and they love Taos, and I say, why don't you move here? And every time they say your schools, we can't. So they say your schools, is why we don't move here.
Oh.
And so that would be something we should get on the news a lot about, as if we are changing things and if it is working, that the changes that we want to do with the help of community schools and you, PTSO, everybody together, that should be something that we really rattle the news waves about, because that is without a doubt what people have said all the time. Thank you.
That's what they look at.
Yep.
I think to echo Board Member King's comments, I think by ensuring that we got, you know, qualified and certified and the best teachers around, you know, is very attractive to families. I think that's a start in getting our enrollment up. Thank you, Superintendent.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Superintendent.
Yeah, that's great information. Thank you so much.
The next slide is just, it was a request by Member King to review on the UNM TMS property agreement review. We did have our legal team review it. There are a few questions still lingering, so that's gonna be our next steps. Is the property being utilized? What kind of agreement do we have on the use of the property? Any zoning restrictions? So those are our next steps that at least to look for the review of the agreement that we have.
What brought this to your attention or to our attention?
This was from the last board meeting, a request for future topics. This is what was asked of.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
So what I would recommend to the board is to review this item, and if there's any questions or comments, you could put it on the future agenda for further discussion, unless there's any items that would like to be discussed right now.
I don't have a question.
Please.
Are we talking about doing something with this land?
Not yet. That would be part of the committee.
Is that for possibly the teachers?
Possibly.
Conversation,
And
okay.
there's like a whole slew of options, but first things first.
Okay.
Can we?
No, I just wanted to know if I missed any conversation about that. Thank you.
And this came from,
This is the only bit of documentation that we have that was provided to us, to Alipio, and of course from Alipio to myself. And this is for legal to review.
Have we been in any kind of communication with UNM House in regard to this?
I've had a conversation with Chancellor Gutierrez, and specifically requested some of that documentation as well from there, what they have. Some of it is, it's been a while since these agreements have been seen the day of life. So we are making sure that we look at every document that has been in agreement between the two entities.
Okay.
The question, should this, being that this is dated August 13th, 2021, did this agreement to have any kind of, I'm not sure the correct word to utilize, but is it in place for 7 years? Does it need to be reviewed and updated every so often?
So the last time from reviewing the legal response is that I believe it was almost over 25 years ago that
94.
94, that the agreement was initially made. And so this is why the next steps is to continue digging deeper, because before our district recommends any kind of movement towards this, we want to make sure that everything is taken care of so that we can make the best informed decisions.
Thank you.
I guess some reading material and review for the board. If there's any questions or concerns, bring them to Superintendent Layton, and we could actually put this on the agenda for a future item to discuss further. If that's be the board's wish.
Yeah,
If there's a.
is council reviewing this too?
That's correct. And
I said Elena.
the council has already, yes.
Okay.
If I understood, Dr. Layton, thank you, President Flores. This is just for us to review at this point. The committee would meet and talk.
That is correct.
We don't necessarily need to put it on the next agenda or an
No.
agenda coming up.
No.
Okay.
But if
Gotcha.
there's any issues, what I mean,
Yeah.
or concerns in
Right.
reviewing it that need to be discussed. My
Right.
comments was we can bring it forward for a
Gotcha.
future agenda item,
Thank you for
if there is
clarification.
identified concerns. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent, for providing the board with this information. That takes us to item J of old business.
What about this? Do we do?
Is that out from finance?
Oh, that was on the other meeting and it was stuck in this one. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Thank you. Yep, thank you. I didn't have it. Thank you.
So item J of old business, or old is A, review and revise superintendent evaluation template. At our last special meeting, we went through and revised the superintendent evaluation tool. I want to thank Mrs. Royale for all the work in revising that and getting it to us.
Yes.
So what we did is we revised the current evaluation tool that the district utilizes. It's for our review. If the board is happy with the revisions made, what we will move to next is item JD, which would be discussion and possible approval of the evaluation template. Either being the one that we reviewed, or if the board wanted to, we're gonna possibly look at adopting or adopting the tool that was presented to us by our legal counsel that is utilized in other districts. Personally, I'm up for either or. I definitely respect each individual board's members' recommendations. I do want to say that I like the work that we did on the current tool that the board utilizes. And I'd be more than happy to adopt our current revised superintendent evaluation form and stand for any recommendations or comments from the board.
President Flores, if I may, corrections. So the last time we spoke about having sections that we transferred into the new format. However, what I do want to say in the older format, we did have a second component that had the annual goals listed based on the strategic plan. So this would be, although it says part 1, part 2, following the new format, I would like to at least suggest that what the old format said part 2, that we would include either part, Roman numerals, if I can go back to my mathematician, part 5 or section 2. This would be section 1 and this would be section 2 on the annual goals. I think it's important that as a superintendent that we abide by what the strategic plan is. So if you look at, and it should be in your board packet. Part 2 annual goals, the annual goals developed by developed by the superintendent on the board. Outlines goals 1 through 5. And I think it's important that we include it as either a second section to this first section, which has 4 parts, or if the board would like, this could be a part 6. So it's up to you, but I would recommend section 1 and then section 2. And section 1 having 5 parts, or 4 parts, excuse me.
Yeah.
With section 2 being the discussion of the annual goals. And then section 3, which is a complete summary.
Right. President Flores, that's exactly what I was thinking when I was reading these, and I was thinking there's a way that they fit together better than just throwing one out or throwing one out. I think that I was gonna suggest that we look at it that way, just the way you just described it. Because I think there's some specifics in here that are good, even if we're doing an evaluation, we could read them and go, oh, that'd be a question that might not occur to us. They're good questions in here. I have one other question on, under, section 5, I'm sorry, section 4. Board budget approval, 4B, on the back of this one. It says here, thorough information for board and community review. Do we do a community review with our budget? Or is that just that we have a community member? I don't know that we ever do a.
No, I think it's a community member.
Yeah, who has a student in the district?
Do we have them on our budget committee?
I don't believe we do.
I think that's.
I believe we do.
Yeah, we got Pasquale.
There is a community member on
That's
committee,
that's not the budget.
That's
That's
the-
the.
that's the
environment, That's the audit.
but on the budget, there is, I believe,
There is one.
should be a, there, I was
I
gonna,
just wanted to point that out and remember to do that.
Thank you for that.
Okay. I love what you, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, these are not necessarily. It's better when you put some of it together.
so
I
you,
agree with you.
so the recommendation or comments from the superintendent would be to add this to?
So, correct, sir.
Yeah.
So the recommendation would be the 4 parts, section 1,
Right.
the annual goals, section 2. And the overall summary is section 3.
So that, so you don't want to utilize the old tool?
Yes.
Well, so if I may, and I can allow our executive secretary, the old tool, what was requested in the old tool, I believe was transferred into this format, correct, Ms. Ellen? Well, that wasn't the request of the board.
No,
was it?
no.
No.
So this tool here was presented to us by Mrs.
I-
Gallegos just as something else to review.
I see.
So there was no work done by legal on this tool. This is a tool that's utilized by other districts, or where she got this, I do not know, but it was passed along for us to,
An example?
as an example of kind of what's could be utilized versus what we are currently utilizing here.
Can we attach this as an amendment or as an appendix item to this one so that we can have some reference? I think it's a really valuable, a lot of these questions are valuable, or just not to base his or his or her evaluation on it, but to use it as a tool for us when we're going through conversation, like in the mid-year one, when we don't write it all down, we just talk. I think this is something we shouldn't throw away myself.
Well, one of the things that we kind
Should
of,
be in there. You probably took it out.
one of the things that we wanted to discuss,
What page? I have.
I see what you're saying,
this, but I think that's not.
one of the initial discussions was to actually like simplify and condense.
We did that.
So we did that on this one,
Yeah.
but then if we add all this other stuff, it just kind of makes it even more busier. So how do we? I mean, this could be an appendix. I've historically used this tool. I thought it needed some good revisions. I think we accomplished that.
Holding for Board President Flores, if I may. Can the board consider the following? This evaluation, correct, what we revised and edited in the last one. Just using the format for this one, and this is what I mean by that. So if you look at part 1, job responsibilities, category 1, board relations, performance indicator 1.1. If that were in this spot, if I may, it allows you as a board to provide unsatisfactory all the way to exceeds for 1.1. Then it allows the same thing for 1.2, an opportunity for the board to mark all the way from unsatisfactory.
Do you not think this does that?
Yeah, it does, but if you look at the bottom right here,
Mm-hmm.
this is unsatisfactory to exceeds for all of 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3.
Oh,
It's like a summary.
you read it as though that's a summary rather than
It is a summary
individual.
I
I see what you're saying.
think in essence, what the superintendent is kind of talking about is something like this. It would just be 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3.
Right, exactly. Yep.
That is correct.
Yep.
That's how you see it. And
And that way, as a board, when you're making your evaluations, you're evaluating for each particular performance indicator.
Right.
More of a breakdown, yes.
And so I may, and I hope, of course, given sees everything, but point being is that if there's a particular indicator that I need to work towards, it is, but there are others that I'm exceeding, so to speak. It allows you to delineate which particular indicators
Right,
I either need to work on or.
It's not so broad.
right,
it gets more specific.
right.
So I guess it needs to be revised again.
We
Just
can
a little
revise it
bit.
or recommend as revisions presented right now.
Well, it'd be nice to see. I totally follow what, that's what President Mark just did. And I follow, and that's, I totally makes sense. So you would do that for each performance indicator.
Wasn't our job to look over what, Anna, you did a really good job, because I double checked some of it and looked, it's perfect. Thank you. Wasn't our job to see if there was anything in this part that we wanted to add to this part?
We could do that.
Wasn't that what our job was for the week?
We kind of ran through half of it. We made the revisions and then
we never finished on the
Yeah.
second part.
Well, we could either do that, or as I said, I would like to keep these as a reference for myself when we go into a evaluation, just because this is really clear. These are clear questions. If I wanted to ask a question, it would help trigger my memory or jog my memory. I'd like to use it as a reference sheet.
Then it
And that
would be, it
wouldn't have
would be better to just incorporate it, like you said. But we don't really want to incorporate all of the
Not all of it.
questions. Yeah. So it's, that's like using two parts of this evaluation tool, which is those four performance measures. And then some of those questions.
There was some on here that were
Well,
really good. Did
well-
anyone do that? Did anyone take any of these and fill them into what we did anyone do that this last week?
No.
No.
Vice President Spray, my only caution is that the questions that are asked, right, for reference should always align directly with what is being evaluated.
Oh,
And that
definitely.
goes back to
Yeah,
whether it's a teacher or.
definitely. So I'm wondering if I was on muscle relaxant, so I didn't do it.
yeah, maybe we should table this
Totally didn't do it.
because we just got the
Because
packet
this looks,
and give us more time to review it.
and this, I like your idea.
So-
Lately.
Yeah, I like, yeah, and then we can see, okay, which, if any, should come over here. And then we can try to get this thing finalized next month.
But Member King, if I may then, for President Flores, I would suggest that we consider the revision and update today. So that we can take that revision and update recommendations back, just like we did here. And that way at our next board meeting, it really is about approving
Yeah,
whatever recommendations we're doing tonight.
So what we could do, I guess, I could just run through this real quick and see if anybody wants to add these to any parts of the current evaluation tool. So if the board just wants to entertain real quick, I'll just run through these. So,
Don't you need to reference them to this?
well, that's where we could reference them collectively as a board. So item A is information exchange, keeps the board informed on issues, needs, and operations of the school district, ensures that information provided to the board is honest, complete, and transparent before it becomes an issue of public concern. I believe that we did identify that in communications where we have on category 2. It develops formal and informal techniques to gain external perception of the district, demonstrates effective communication skills in verbal, nonverbal context, formal and informal settings, large and small groups, promotes and invites involvement of all stakeholders to fully participate in the process of schooling, seeks and values input from a wide range of sources, understands the role in media shaping and forming opinions as well to work with the media. And also that kind of encompasses it in part 1, effectively communicates with the board and works with all members of the board, including but not limited to board meetings. Anticipates events which may require board awareness and attention, recommends appropriate policy issues to the board for their consideration. So I think in our current tool, we do have item A covered in regards to various forms of information exchange. It's my comments, so just reading through it. B is recommendations, offers professional advice to the board on items requiring board action with appropriate recommendations based on thorough study and analysis. I think that does cover board relations and communications. Both A and B are also covered in category 1 and category 2 of our current evaluation.
Don't you, excuse me, is this like a discussion or?
Yeah, we had.
Okay. Don't you think that the way that that's written in B is a little bit more professional than our 1.3 is written, or do you not? Says basically the same thing, but it seems a little more, maybe more professional. I don't know. I don't know how professional you want to sound.
I think it's just a matter of opinion.
Okay.
I think 1.3 could consider a summary of exactly what.
Yeah,
it
it's a
is.
summary kind of. Mhm.
And of course, if the board's okay, then it matches.
And then there's also item C, which is policy.
Due diligence.
So do we want to have another special meeting to address this? Because I think it needs to have a collective board.
Yeah, I think it's late. You know, like,
Special meeting next Wednesday?
no, that's your, is that, I guess it would be, huh?
Isn't that your day?
That should be the third or something.
No, next Wednesday's the second.
Yeah, next Wednesday is the second, the following is the ninth.
Well, how about if we work on these and just come to the meeting with suggestions and it can be a short meeting? We all work on them together like, or individually like we were supposed to this last week. Or not at all, whatever. There's a couple of them I think are pretty important, but.
Well, I kind of feel like A, B, and C are all tied in to what we currently have on 1 and 2, but yeah, let's give the board some homework. So I think that being that it's late, hearing that, we do need to get this expedited though, so we could start the evaluation process of our superintendent, but I think we aren't too late.
It was October/November, so we have some time, right? Is that correct? Yeah.
So we're gonna iron this out next Wednesday or what?
Can I iron it out at the next board meeting or?
Let's wait till the next board meeting. We don't want to have another meeting.
But that's also a topic, right? That's conversation on the next board meeting is gonna be.
Correct. President Flores, members of the board, if I may, I would recommend the second as a special just for this. And the only reason I say this because this goes into future topics, President Flores, if I may. October the 9th,
Yeah.
you are being recognized as an unsung hero. And so, I was actually going to recommend to see if y'all wanted to either change that board meeting or cancel, because we do have 2 in October. And so whatever we were gonna do on the 9th, we could do on the 23rd, but we would have a special meeting for this one on the 2nd.
I'm agreeable to it.
You mean just not have one on the 9th and not?
Yeah, that's correct.
Mhm, so,
I think,
look,
Yeah, we'll be okay.
is that yours or mine?
it's yours. I stuck mine in there.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, it's just, Miss Jintet, she has her son that is gonna be performing surgery, or not performing.
I hope not, I hope not.
He is gonna be undergoing surgery. And so, but we will have.
Yeah, be with you, eat us.
To run the board meeting.
Wait on the 2nd?
Which one? No?
Isaiah.
Isaiah?
Be nice
Over
to
now?
have one on the 9th because you have to go to the thing.
I think I'm
What time is
honored.
it?
It's at
Oh, that's one, that's.
Sorry to say.
5 to 7.
5 to 7?
30.
I'm not gonna wear them, so be careful. Those guys are rough.
So President Lewis, if I may,
Go to that.
I'm gonna recommend to the board that under old business that we table.
Okay,
And
for review by the board.
that's good.
Okay, so,
We're gonna meet
For the 2nd.
second, what time? Let's do early, 5:30.
If I may,
5,
if I
Yeah,
may, we
fine.
recommend for recommendation to table. And then when we go to future topics and next meeting, then we can make that. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay, so, and with the discussion tonight, on this item, let me get back to my agenda over here. Okay, where am I? I took it out.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it's Jay.
Okay. So in regards to item J of old business, which is review and revise superintendent evaluation template, which is JA and JB. Discussion and for possible approval of superintendent evaluation template. I'll make a motion to table J of old business for the board to review between now and to be scheduled special meeting.
When?
We'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, okay. I'm over here reading.
We gotta make a motion then.
I made a motion.
just did,
Can we
Second,
call for the roll?
Board Member Concha?
Yes.
Board Member King?
yes.
Secretary Trujillo?
Yes.
Vice President Spray? Vice President Spray?
Yes.
President Flores?
Yes. Okay, that takes us to future topics. Item L. Upcoming Taos Municipal School Board meeting. So we have our next regular scheduled board meeting for October 9th, 2024. And a discussion for a possible special meeting for next Wednesday. So I guess let's just cover the sooner date. So next Wednesday would be October 2nd. Would the board be amenable to meeting at 5 p.m. to discuss and approve the tabled item of old business and superintendent's evaluation tool?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so with that being said,
At what time?
I'll make a motion in regards to future topics to convene a special meeting on October 2nd, which is a Wednesday at 5 p.m. here at the administration building to discuss the superintendent's evaluation tool for review and adoption. Get a second?
Second.
We have a second.
Board Member Concha?
Yes.
Board Member King?
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo?
Yes.
Vice President Spray?
Yes.
President Flores?
Yes. And then in regards to our regularly scheduled board meeting, which October 9th, 2024 at 6 p.m. I've been so honored to be nominated as an unsung hero by the Taos News, which is I'm speechless. I'm very humbled by that. We have a meeting that night and I won't be in attendance, and it's been recommended that the board cancel that meeting so that those board members that are able to can attend and the superintendent can attend. So with that, we would just hold one meeting in October.
No,
No.
we have another one on the 23rd.
Oh, I'm sorry, we would have the October 23rd meeting, is that correct?
Yeah.
Would that be consensus of the board?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Could we have a motion to cancel that meeting for the 9th?
I'll make
Yeah.
a motion to cancel the Taos Municipal Schools Board meeting on October 9th, 2024 at this time.
Second it.
We have a second from member Concha.
Board Member Concha?
Yes.
Board Member King?
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo?
Yes.
Vice President Spray?
Yes.
President Flores?
Yes. And just for a note, if there's any urgent business that needs to be addressed, maybe it can be added to the special meeting, which will need to be posted as regularly scheduled, sent to our notice. So that takes us to item M.
I have
Oh.
one other question topic,
Yes.
which I have to kind of pick Dr. Layton's brain on this. I hope I can say this clearly. It's late. So the committee that's in charge of looking over the art that the schools own is planning to give a presentation to the board at the October 23rd meeting, I think, is that correct?
That's good.
So before that time, the Harwood Collections Committee and the person who's in charge of keeping all that art, there's 99 pieces. They separated out the art in 4 categories so far. I'm just bringing an update to you guys. So there's one category that's being kept for sure, another category that's probably, that wants to be kept, but it's not as valuable as the top category. And then there are two categories below that, the fourth category is definitely, they recommend that we offload it, but it's. And then there's a little bit of a wiggle room in the third category. And the art committee has decided to meet at some point, which is yet the date is not set, right?
Correct.
We don't have a date set, but I wanted to tell the board that when the art committee gets together, I think Dr. Layton was gonna blow up some of the photographs of the art, and I think we're gonna do it in this room, is that correct? Do you think it'd be okay if any board member wanted to come and look at it also, just look at the photographs also, just to familiarize
So this
themselves?
is for a future topic. The only thing is that if we have board that does come, we have to be cognizant, of course, quorum
Definitely,
and.
and you have to not talk, you have to just look. That's right, yeah, and we all know that, we'll go over the rules as they enter the room. But I thought maybe if the committee is looking and we have it all spread around, then for the meeting on the 23rd, this board would be more understanding of what we're talking about. I thought it would be good education.
And we would definitely post, what possible.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be like we'd talk about it, we just would be familiarizing ourselves with it, because some of us have seen it and some of us haven't seen it. And that way, it was just an idea to invite them so they'd have a chance to see it also before the. Do you think it's an okay idea?
I think it's something I can also, ask our legal, just to be sure.
Yeah.
What the correct way
Yeah,
to
if
do
we
it.
don't talk, it's like going on a site visit for historic, you can't say a word, but you can look, yeah. And you could just familiarize yourself with it, if you want to come, you don't have to, but if you want to, that would be nice to invite everybody. Yeah, I will.
So maybe what you could do, Vice President Cynthia, is talk to Dr. Lane about that date and time.
Okay,
And then if we could send an invitation out to the board and notice of possible forum.
Yep.
And have a quick review by legal to see if there's no issue with that.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a way to say, they say when you guys, when the council goes to something, but there'll be no.
getting organized, you know, you gotta get the ground running.
Okay, I just wanted
You
to
know?
extend the invitation.
And then just a reminder to review the UNM Taos Flower Campus document.
This one and then,
Oh, yeah, I already,
okay,
already.
thank you.
So
This is 2021, yeah. Interesting.
Thank you.
Louis.
So item M is adjournment, so moved to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Those
opposed?
opposed?
Not make a motion. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Rael.